So by starting introducing somebody that's extremely important in my life. She's a really good friend. Her name is Amy Wienands. Amy is has quite a story. Let me tell you about Amy. No, she's dynamite. She's energy in motion. You're going to get a lot of enthusiasm for her, but let me tell you the story behind Amy Wienands. Amy Wienands is from Iowa, a little place called Cedar Valley, Waterloo. Any of you ever been to Iowa, by the way? Oh, we have actually some people that have been to Iowa. We're excited about that. I went to Iowa for the first time last January, I think, and I took videos of the snow because I had never seen that much snow in my life. So I was excited to see it. So Amy went from Iowa to college. Actually, I don't know the name of the university you went to. Northwestern. Yeah. Northwestern. She went to Northwestern, and she, graduated from college, did really well. And she got out and she told her parents, I think I want to go in real estate. And her parents said, oh, no, I didn't send you to college. I didn't pay for that money for you to get a college degree and go into real estate. You stay right there in Chicago and get a real job. Okay? So she got a real job in Cook County Prison as the warden.
No, not the warden. I taught employability skills.
Whatever. She worked in the prison. This is one of the most dangerous prisons in the United States. It is. And she worked there, and the stories, I guess she told her parents so many horror stories that eventually they let her come home to Iowa. And she began her career in real estate in 1995. And Amy began just like you and I began, like we all began, as a sole practitioner. And she did really well. She had a lot of energy. She bought the juice. And she left that company. She went to another company. And then eventually she started a team. And that team became a company within itself. And it's Amy Wienands Real Estate. And Amy has about 20% of her market. She's in a market that's about the size of the Asheville market. It's about 150,000 people. Can you imagine having 20% of your market? Okay, this young lady has done it. And she's done a great job of it. But she's so much more than that. She has developed her people to that. And 20% is low, by the way. It's been higher than that over the years. Amy wanted to have children. She has a great marriage. She's got a great husband. And she has 7-year-old twins. So she is a mom. She also does something that many of us should take the time to do. She takes the time to give back. And her biggest way of giving back is she's got a really successful podcast called You Are More. Write that down. You Are More podcast. And this podcast gets about 10,000 downloads per month. So she's very successful. It's got 9,000 now. She's looking 10,000 before the end of the year. She owns 18% of the markets. By the way, the agents in her market, she's got about 500 or 600 agents that she competes with on a regular basis, that her team competes with. Her average price, just in case your average price is not as high as some of the markets that you'll hear from today, her average point price is $164,000, which is a moderately priced home. I'm pretty excited about that. I think your price point is a little bit higher than that. She knows how to increase her price range by 41%. So the average price range in her market's $164,000, but I think her average price range is $220,000. 220, 230. She is a dynamic young woman leader. You're going to learn a lot from Amy Wienands. Thank you. Meet my friend, my comrade, and somebody you're going to never forget, Amy Wienands.
Guys? All right. Awesome. I don't really have a PowerPoint. I'm not really that. That's just not who I am. Can I take this off here? Or not really? Oh, I'll just put it on top of it. All right, awesome. Huh? No, I need to look at it. Perfect. Oh, if it's going to screw it up, here, this is perfect for me, right? Because I actually don't follow any notes or anything. I just want to have it just in case. So that was an amazing introduction. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking your time to be here today. I mean, time's our most valuable thing, so we really appreciate it, and we're honored to have this opportunity to kind of brainstorm a mastermind together today. I'm going to talk about the power of the mindset of a top producer, but actually it's the mindset of someone who's going to thrive in a real estate industry like today's market, right? So I think the elephant in the room is that, oh, the market's awesome, everything's great. We all know we're walking into some choppy times. We all know that the interest rates, the way they are creating some things, and they're shifting the market. And you could literally fall prey to a victim mentality in this market, couldn't you? Because you wake up yesterday morning and guess what? Your market just changed. The government just did something, your market just changed. It can make you feel really powerless and take on a real victim mentality. And I've been in this business almost 3 decades. And I think that everyone is in the exact same space. So everyone has the exact same opportunity because we've never been here before. And I think that that's good. It's like the great equalizer. No one's ever been through this before. Now, I've been through 2008. 2008 was an interesting time. From coast to coast, the markets were tanking. And, you know, the real estate industry basically had caused the whole situation. I mean, I loved it. It was a 680 credit score, fog a mirror, and you got a loan. And boy, did we run them to the bank to do that. But it created so many issues for us. But in 2008, and I'm going to give you, this is a key because it's as true today as it was in 2008. In 2008, I was sitting in a sales meeting with a lot of great producers, and they were just rehearsing the market, rehearsing this, rehearsing that. And it was all probably very factual. But literally, I started to vibrate on the inside. Have you guys ever felt that feeling watching what we've got going on right now? Like, I was nervous. I was scared. And I had just bought a new house. I just hired a couple people. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was freaking out. So I made a decision that day. I was sitting there and I thought, I can't sit here anymore. I can't even listen to this anymore. And I literally popped out of my seat. I abruptly walked out of the room. And I went into my office and I said to my teammates that were there, I go, guys, I'm never going to this sales meeting again. You're not going to this sales meeting again. And I actually don't even want you to go downstairs to the break room. I don't want you to have any contact with those people. That seems crazy, doesn't it? I go, we have to avoid all of it. This is not what we're doing. I can't afford it, and neither can you, to sit here and take the negative thought. That is the key to a top producer. The top producer may look at all these situations going on, and it does look ugly, guys. Let's call it what it is. It looks ugly. But the top producer says, you know what? It's ugly, but guess what? I'm not a victim to it, and I know above everything that if I get in there and have action, and I'm creative, and I'm the surety to the client, people are still buying and people are still selling because life is still happening. Life didn't stop happening just because interest rates went up, right? There's still people. Now, there might not be as many, so it requires you honing your skills, but my thought is this, and I think it's a top producer mindset, but I think it's the mindset that we have to embrace as the industry is shifting and changing, is you have to become the specialist. And it requires mastery. Mastery in your language, mastery in how you speak to the client, honing your skills. So we can't practice on our clients. But, you know, let's face it, over the last 3 years, we've had a lot of practice sessions on our clients where we were just shooting from the hip and It requires mastery today. You have to know your stuff like you've never known it before. 2008, when everyone was like literally falling apart, I decided I'm going to go out and be the news. I live in a town about the same size as you guys do, and I literally picked like Panera, Starbucks, and I would literally target, like there would be pockets of mostly women, at the time. And I would go in there, and every day they'd see me about the exact same time, and I'd see them. They'd always ask me, Amy, how's the real estate business? How are you doing? I'm like, the real estate business is great. Guys, we live in a market that's got some stability to it. We're not on the coast. We're not here. People are still, their lives are still changing. People are still getting divorced. They're still passing away. They're still at job relocations. They're still getting pregnant. They're still getting married. Like, life is still happening. We're okay. And I literally let that be my message. I didn't try to combat, like, yeah, things had changed. But the real estate market was still moving on. And in our market was just stable. It wasn't, I mean, like the coasts were, right? So we were a little bit insulated. And I just became the good news. And I knew that I was distributing to a bunch of people. They were taking it back to their people. Well, Amy said the market's good. You kind of have to take on I think that a top producer takes on a mentality that they're the expert. They're the specialist. Guys, in this time, we have to be the specialist. It's like going to a doctor, and you go to a general practitioner, and you go to a specialist. And the general practitioner looks at your situation and says, ugh, we got an issue. Yeah. Yep, we got an issue. And the specialist says, yeah, you have an issue. I've done this surgery 700 times this year. I got you. Right? Be the specialist. That's what this market is requiring of us. It's the mindset you have to go into it. I'm the specialist. I know. You personally may not have been here. Hopefully you're on teams that have been here. Right? You have leaders that have been there. But when you go in, literally, you have to be the surety. Here's what we know. And if you can navigate them through there as a surety, that's what people are looking for. They're not looking for you to sit there in the boat and go, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I know. I mean, that's not what they're looking for. It's not what you're looking for when you're going to the doctor. Do you consider yourself a specialist? Raise your hand in your room if you consider yourself a specialist. Raise your hand in this room if you think that real estate agents and loan officers have the ability to really sink a market, a local market. Well, I'm going to tell you today they do. They have the ability. We have to be so careful on what we're saying. So today in a market that there's a lot of scarcity, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of that, your self-talk is going to be the most critical thing you do. How do you talk to yourself every morning? To navigate through this market is to not bury your head in the sand. I woke up today to a multitude of text messages and lots of questions, right? My head is not in the sand. But guess what I'm saying to myself? I'm well able. We've got this. It's going to require us to do more activities. It's going to require us to be, like I'm talking to myself. We're well able. I've got this. We've got this. I've got you. 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 Right? Hook onto my hope. I've got you. We're going to get through this. We're going to navigate it. That's what people want. Who wants that? We all do, don't we? We all do. I got you. You don't want to go to your doctor and him say, ugh, it's pretty dicey. I'm not sure. Whoa. I mean, that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for surety. Not unbidden optimism. Surety. Yep, the water looks a little rocky, but we've got you. So the key I think that you have to have is I think you have to really monitor your speech. How are you speaking about the market and how are you speaking about yourself? So your self-talk. So I have a morning self-talk. I go on a walk and I'm always speaking over myself. And call me crazy, but I know it works. So I don't really care. Like I'm well able. I'm equipped. I'm actually born on this earth for such a time to be a transitional leader in this. Does that sound crazy? It might. I don't care. Because guess what? You believe your voice over anybody else's. Marty could tell me that. Amy, you're a transitional leader. I tell myself I'm a transitional leader and I'm well equipped. It's much better than waking up going, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Whoa. I don't know how we're going to get through this. Guys, doesn't your energy shift when you're like, I'm well able? Let that be your anthem. We're well able and we'll get through this. We're well able and we'll get through. Because guess what? When you start speaking that forth, we're well able and we'll get through this, creative ideas are going to start to hit your mind on how you're going to get through it. Right? So 2008, I'm looking at things and I'm like, yeah, guess what? I collected so much market share in 2008 and 2009. And so many top producers, so that's why I say the ground is equal, it's level. So many top producers lost ground because they took the apple. I'm a Christian. The Bible says, take ye not the thought saying. They took the negative thought, they ate it, they consumed it, it got down in them. They got so fearful that it paralyzed them. And this market could do that to you. Let's be honest. It could do that to you. Take ye not the thought saying. There's something that happens when you take the thought, you speak the thought, it drops down and you start to get paralyzed. You start to consume it. That is why it's so critical, and I think this is a key, and it's always been a key for me, is top producers don't have conversations, that they don't let conversations get in on the inside of them. You have to so guard what you're listening to and what you're seeing. Not head buried in the sand. But I can guarantee you, when I told my team, do not hang out in the lunchroom with everybody else, that wasn't an elitist mentality. That was hey, we are in a fight of our life and we can't afford it. We can't afford to sit there and take the thought, oh, their deal just fell apart. Oh, this is going wrong. Oh, that. You can't afford it. That is as true today as it's ever been. You can't afford it. You have to know what's going on, but you can't let it get on the inside of you because action is going to trump everything. Life is still happening. People are still having to move. The opportunities, the lead flows are less, but how are they going to come to you? How are you going to get those? It's going to be by really, really focusing deep on your relationships. I tell my team all the time, if you chase money, it's going to run from you. You serve people, you're never going to lack. The same is still true today. You serve people, you serve people, you serve people, their needs above your needs, you're not going to lack. It's a principle. And guess what? Today's a day that you could feel like, I need that deal. Man, I need that deal. I got a car payment due, I got a house payment due, I got a mortgage, I need that deal. They feel it, and it repels them from you. So it's really critical what you're talking to yourself about, what you're saying, what your self-talk is, right? So that you're the surety in the storm. I always tell my team, I got to make sure whose belt loop my kite string's attached to is the trajectory is upward, right? That's what people want to do business with, people that are confident in what they do. If you don't feel confident because today's market's kicking your butt, if you don't feel confident, pop your shoulders back, walk with purpose, and talk to yourself. Guys, these are little hints, but I call them stones of remembrance. I work on the listing side. I still take some listings. I have a great team. But there are days that I have to go in and I have to rehearse my victories. I have to go back and say, okay, we did this. We navigated this, we navigated that, okay, we sold that, we did this, we got that, and the market wasn't good here. Rehearse your victories. So you can walk in and go, oh yeah, we got this. This is where you're at. Your mental exercises that you do every day are either gonna sink your ship or elevate it. And I'm like, hey, and it sounds all woo, 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 but guess what? The most successful people I know practice it. So today, I woke up this morning and I set my vision. My vision is to create impact in this room. My vision is to leave you with a key that changes your life. My vision is when I meet with a client that they're impacted on a deep level. I'm not just a real estate agent. Did you hear that? I'm not just a real estate agent. I'm not transactional. Deep connection. And guess what that requires? You can't be frantic on the inside. You can't be nervous, Nelly. Surety. What's your mental practice when you're going over to that appointment? Because you can't afford to practice on your potential clients right now. It's not, you're going to lose them. Practice on each other. Grab your partner. Grab somebody. Practice on somebody else. Don't practice on your potential lead. You know what I mean? That's what people have been doing. We've been doing that for the last 3 years. That's all we're doing, practicing on our people because we didn't have to be skilled. The last 3 years has not required a ton of skill. Now we're in a skills-based, action-based market. The best thing you can do every single day is improve yourself. Now, I believe in morning mastery. I'm a big person about how are you mastering your mornings. And the reason I think morning mastery is so critical is because it gives you confidence in your own disciplines. And when you have confidence in your own disciplines, guess what? People can look at you and they believe you because you believe yourself. And there's something that changes. There's something, you know what the greatest, so I was reading this the other day, I thought it was fascinating. Do you know what the most powerful frequency coming out of a human body to another person is? Guess what emotion it is? A lot of people would say love, wouldn't you? Guess what? It's not it. 4 times greater than that is authenticity. People feel it. Are you authentic? Can I connect with you? Do you really care about me, or is this all about you? I was blown away by that when I was like, it's authenticity? It's not love, it's authenticity? But think about it. Your interactions that have powerful impact is because you've bumped into an authentic person, isn't it? Here's the thing, guys. We're entering a market where your experience, if you don't have any, grab a hold of your leader's experience, right? So I walked through 2008, 2009, and I had to make a decision. I owned 2 properties. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I was going to take a bath on one. Wasn't sure, put a bath on the market, do all this kind of stuff, right? And I made a decision. I reduced the price big time. And do you know how much money that story has made me? Because I said there's something that happens. When I cut the price of this and I eliminated this, my brain was freed to focus on this, and I made so much more money, and the weight lifted off me, and I made that money up quickly. Do you know how many times I've told that story to so many people? And guess what? They're like, I said, so I've sat in this boat before. Your failures, your things that you've not done well, your financial setbacks, your whatever, do you know what that is? Confidence building for somebody else. I can sit in the boat with you because I've been there. You know what that makes you? A real human being instead of a salesperson. You know what that makes you? It gives you a real advantage over your competition because so many people are just out there being salesy, driving their hot cars, thinking they're all this and that. Instead of just going in and being a real human being, connecting with another human being. That's the difference. I said, do you know how I met Marty and Rowena? I met them actually in a sleazy hotel. It actually wasn't a sleazy hotel, but I was in New York City for a Barbara Corcoran event, and she endorses all of us, and I was in the hotel lobby of the Gansevoort, which is like super sexual. I was so surprised by this room. I'm like, what is going on? Why did they put us in this hotel? It's really nice, but it's really ugh. Okay. Anyway, I'm digressing so much. Anyway, but this is what I found out. Marti Hampton at the time, I was like, oh my gosh. My mom was with me. I said, Mom, I just really want to meet this Marti Hampton. She's the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world, or in the 3 in the world, and #1 in the U.S. And she's a beast. She's like iconic. I just want to meet her. And I'm sitting there in the hotel lobby waiting for my taxi with my mother, and I'm small town Iowa, and guess who walks down into the lobby? Marty. I had like 30 seconds of radical courage. And I walked over to her, I said, Marty, I'm Amy Wienands. You don't know me, but I got a taxi. You want to share it with me? 30 seconds of radical courage. And guess what? By the time we got to the place where we were taping, I'm like, we're friends. Because this is what I figured out. People that are really awesome at what they do are just great human beings. And they're so willing to share. I think that real estate has been painted as arrogant, egotistical, self-serving, and it's the exact opposite of that. And the people that get it, and they serve people, they serve their clients at a high level, they're creative, they get in the boat with them, those are the people that soar through markets like this. Right? When I met Rowena, I just told them last night at dinner, you guys were so nice to me. And I realized that as I've gotten in more rooms over the last decade, I'm like, the highest and the best in the business are not arrogant and think they're all of this and that. They understand that every day they have to go out and serve people. And if they can put a deposit in you, they're happy to do it. They're the greatest people, right? So embrace the whole top producer mentality. Maybe you're brand new in the business. You're like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Well, use borrowed belief. Borrowed belief is powerful. If you can do it, I can do it too. If you've gotten through it, I can get through it too. If your team survived this, if your team was successful in this, if your team's navigated it, we've navigated it. Oh yeah, we've been here. You may not have done a single deal yet. Yeah, we've been there. We've got this, right? Use that. Use the power of your tribe. Use the power of your people, but take the borrowed belief, because that's powerful. So as we're entered into an action-based economy, is my time up? I don't want to go over time. No, I'm still good. We got time. All right. As you go into this action-based economy, here's the thing you have to do. A big separator of people is their ability to pop back. Fail, pop back. Fail, pop back. Fail, and pop back. It's the greatest determiner if you're going to be successful in anything, actually. Right? I've been through so many things in this business. In 30 years, I've seen so much. In 30 years, when I got into real estate, I was straight out of college. And it was mostly male-dominated industry. And I came knocking on doors. And I started hitting doors and knocking on doors. I probably knock on 100 doors a day. Guess what? My team's back to doing that. We're back to the basics, guys. This is an action-based market. This is an action-based, skills-based market. And you will become victim to the market if you don't take action. But the best way out of a victim mentality, the best way out of it is action. It's the only thing that's going to move the needle for you. And here's the thing. As a leader, I just enrolled in a program that has so much accountability to it that it requires me to take massive action every day because I'm asking my agents to take massive action and be accountable to it. So I'm having to hold myself to that same standard. And guess what? It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to make those prospecting calls. Who thinks that? Okay? So, and just embrace the suck. That's also what people do. Sometimes you just have to embrace the suck. Y'all understand that? Sometimes you just have to go, this is that. But it's more fun if you're doing it collectively, isn't it? It's more fun if you know what your why is. Like, I'm not going to let my team fail. I just told my team last week, I said, not under my watch. Not under my watch are you going to fail in this industry. Not under my watch. Not if you do what we ask you to do. Not if you practice what we ask you to practice. Because I have really amazing human beings on my team. Amazing human beings, right? I think they're some of the best in the planet. Not on my watch. This is an action-based market. A skills-based market. So we're honing skills. You are honing skills. We're action, action, action. But guess what? Last week I made like 5 recruiting phone calls. You know what it did? It made me nervous. It made me excited. I had to rehearse my scripting. I had to go back because it's not a script. It's a conversation, right? It's not a script. It's a conversation. Had to go back. And I woke up the next morning. I went to bed that night. I'm like, I did it. I did it. Right? It's the same thing with your morning routine. You wake up in the morning. You practice your mental routine. I like to do some physical workouts in the morning. I set my tone for the day. I prophesy over my day. I prophesy over my day what's going to be successful. My team is going to succeed in this market. My team is going to thrive in this market. Everybody wants to do business with us. We're a bright light in this city. Right? Those are the kinds of statements. They sound crazy, but guess what they're doing? They're leading me to creative thoughts. This morning I thought, oh yeah, there's a couple things we can do differently. Because I'm opening it up. The world responds to it. The atmosphere responds to it. I call it God, but you can call it the universe responds to you. You're putting it out there, it starts to come forward to you. Oh, here's a creative way. So in 2008, when the market was flat, I would just take more action steps. I would do whole big neighborhood open houses. We'd be out there, we'd have it looking so great. I'd get golf carts out there. And guess what? Nothing's selling at the time. And we still kept creating action. And guess what that action kept doing? It kept bringing more and more opportunity to us. Because people liked the fact that you weren't burying your head in the sand and you're still trying. Because most people just stick a sign in their yard and say, well, the market is what the market is. That's not who I want my kite string attached to. Not the market is what the market is. Action. So in today's social media market, we have these cameras, these phones we walk around with every day. You have so much opportunity to go share the market, put content out there, walk through a house in a different way, be funny on it, humanize yourself, right? There's so many different techniques and tools that you have readily available to you that we didn't have when I got in real estate. I mean, guys, in my market, 2 people had cell phones, me and one other. We can talk to each other, then that's it. We had to chase keys. We didn't have super boxes, right? Oh, go pick up a key, go pick up a key, go pick up a key. We had to go to the courthouse to get information. I'm like a dinosaur, guys. We had to go to the courthouse to get information on a listing. So we have all this technology available to us, and guess what it is? It's the biggest threat to our real estate market. Not to our market, to our industry. Technology, as amazing as it is, as amazing as it gives us the ability to scale and be easy, guess what's not happening? Me sitting at the dining room table at 11 o'clock at night, giving the counter, and the baby spills milk all over the counter, and you have to run to the office and get a new offer. That's what's not happening today. That's what makes you not memorable. So you're just a click on a Zillow button. That's not sustainable, guys. It's all going to be relationship based. This month of November, we're going heavy into how grateful we are for our clients and our community, because guess what? It's all about them, isn't it? I know if I serve them, that ultimately that all comes back to me. But it's this lack of where we're not making connection with another human being, and we've got 19,000 other options. Press of a Zillow button, right? How do I connect with another human being that has, and it's not phony, it's memorable, right? But all those things, I can't tell you how many clients I have that, Amy, you came over, like we were negotiating at my table like at midnight. Do you remember? And that agent was sitting out in the car, and like all of that, right? That is, guess what? Your likelihood of them calling you back, because I think it's like 80 or 90% of all people say they'll use their agent again when they actually when they do another real estate transactions, and it's like 30% that actually do. It's really low. There's a big gap there. And so while dot loop and all these things make us very scalable, we can do things with such ease, what we're missing, an email and text, what we're missing is the human connection. And in this market, that's the only thing that's going to move the needle for you. If you can connect with another human being, they're most likely to say, hey, you know what, I might have an agent already I'm working with, but someone asks them, they're going to refer you to them, right? They meet you at an open house and there's sincere connection. They have energy, they meet with your energy. They're going to think about you, they're going to remember you. That's what's going to differentiate you, and that's what's going to make you a beast in this market. So while the fallout happens, because there's going to be fallout, it's just natural, don't let it intimidate you, don't let it knock you down, don't let it, you might have moments of that, you can't stay there. You got to have that pop back factor. So whatever you have to do, go listen to a podcast, go listen to someone, go talk to someone who has got a great mindset, but you got to pop back quickly, guys. In this market, you got to pop back quickly and go back at it. So if you can think of ways to be very intentional with your client base, like very intentional with your client base, not just call and say, you know anyone who's looking to buy or sell? You know anyone who's looking to buy or sell? Wah, wah. Right? No one wants that. That's like someone calling you, do you want to buy some Tupperware? You don't want that. No one wants to be sold, do they? They want to have that authentic experience. You want to have an authentic experience. I walked into a Louis Vuitton store about a year ago, and I was not in the market at all to buy anything. I was just like gazing, right? And I just like to, 5 minutes, okay, we're good. All right, we'll go question and answer. You want to do that right now? Okay, so I walk into Louis Vuitton, and here's the thing. I had no intentions of buying anything that day. In fact, I set my mind, I'm not buying anything in here today. I told my husband, don't worry, I'm not buying anything. Until I bumped into a salesperson that was so passionate about what they did. And I love watches, and a salesperson is like, Amy, do you know that this is da-da-da-da-da? I go, hey, I'm not buying anything today. And he goes, yeah, I know. He goes, but look at this new product. He goes, guess what? It's so cool, and this leather, and this is, that. He starts explaining the whole, and I love watches. And guess what? I walked out of the store with a watch on. And I said to him, I was not buying anything today, but I love a good salesperson. And guess what? He stays in touch with me. Of course he does. Hey, I remember that you were going on an anniversary trip. How'd that go? Not asking me if I want to buy a new product from Louis Vuitton. Not telling me about the latest and greatest sales going on, because Louis Vuitton doesn't have sales, right? There's never been one in its history, just so you know. Everything appreciates, so it's a good investment. That's how I talk myself into it. You can rationalize anything. But literally, like, he doesn't ask me about this. He doesn't ask me about, do I want another product? Hey, how was that anniversary trip? Yeah, I'm like, this is a good salesperson. I said, can I hire you? Can I relocate you to Iowa? Because guess what? He connected with me. And he goes, hey, did your husband, my husband, he just got his pilot's license this last week, and he goes, did your husband get his pilot's license yet? This is a year ago, guys. I'm like, we could learn a lot from that. He didn't come in and ask me, but guess what he knows? When I get ready to buy something else from Louis Vuitton, he is who I'm going to. And I have to tell you something. I did walk back in that store and I got bombarded with salespeople, and I said, the only person I'm buying from is this guy. And he's like, Amy! But here's the thing, guys. That's us today. We have Zillow, we have Instant Offer, we have Redfin, we have all these things, right? Let it be said of you, the only person I'm buying from is this guy, this girl. Because they connect with me and they care about me. They care about me. They care about me. It's not about them. It's not about the sale. If they don't think it's a good time for me, they're going to tell me it's not a good time for me. I've made so much money telling people, don't sell your house right now. Right. Don't buy this house. We can find a much better house for you. Do not buy it. I will not be able to sleep at night if you buy this house. You still want to buy it? All right. But guess what? When you tell someone not to buy something, and you tell them not to do something, and then you say, hey, guess what? Now do it. They trust you. Because it's not about you. It's not about your deal. It's about them. So in our inauthentic world, if you're going to soar in this market, which I think if you're people that are sitting in this room that have taken the time to come here, you're going to soar. If you're going to soar in this market, it's going to be about your ability to connect with another human being, to nurture them, not as a drip campaign. I'm not talking about a drip campaign for nurture, guys. I'm not talking about mass texting. I'm talking about, can I connect with you? So much more, it's so much critical that when you're having conversations with them, that you actually listen. Oh, your son's got a hockey tournament? Yeah, and he's hoping to get a college scholarship. The next time you check in with them, you should be taking notes because you should check in and see how that scholarship's coming. It has nothing to do with real estate. The month of November, like every person I talk to, I'm not even talking to them about real estate unless they ask me about it. Every call I make is not going to be about real estate. It's going to be about checking in to see how they're doing. Right? Because we're in the human connection, human interaction business. Isn't that kind of exciting? I tell my team all the time, you are leaders. You get to lead and create impact in people's most valuable, most precious investment. But their home, it's their life. I always think I am so honored when anyone invites me into their home. They're inviting me into a conversation with them that's about their future, that's about their present, the most intimate spaces you're walking into, and they're showing it to you all. Nothing better. All right, question and answer time. You guys have any questions? All right then.
Or let's have some ahas. Who's got some ahas from what Amy said? Anybody learn anything? Any bright spots? Human connection business. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Come down. Put your hand up if you've got a question or a thought.
I really liked how you said really making that connection with the person. Like, it really takes a really deep relationship to differentiate ourselves in the market and be that go-to person for someone. If it's someone that you are meeting and networking, how do you continue to nurture that relationship and continue to grow that trust?
How do you continue to? Well, I think with so many social media platforms available today, I mean, like just staying in touch, even commenting on some of their social media. I spend a lot of time commenting on social media. But if I really am involved in it, if there's something, I'll always reach out with a video. If I've got a phone number, at least I can put it in private message. I do a lot of video work. I think, this is readily available to us today. I don't care if I look good or look bad. I'll hop on there, like, hey, just thinking about you today. You're on my mind. Just wanted to send you a quick video and let you know that. Do you know what it feels like to people to have authentic, someone cared about me today? They thought about me. Guys, this has never been more difficult or never been more easy. It's the two parallels, right? It's the two opposites. People are desperate for authentic human interaction. They're desperate for it. And if you give that to them, I promise you, my team is, they think I'm, like everyone that comes to my office starts crying. And it's not because, it's kind of a joke around my office because I can make anyone cry. And it's not because I said, guys, here's the thing. I don't do anything. All I do is ask a question. Like, I connect with them. Like, where are you at on this? Where are you? And guess what? Where are you? Life's hitting you, isn't it? I'm telling you, if you care about people, business is going to come to you. If your whole entire thing, I wake up every day, I'm like, my biggest goal is to make impact. I'm going to sow into somebody's life every single day. I give to people, right? So, like, financially, I've sown into someone's life every single day for the last 30 years. It's who I am as a person. It's a principle of mine, right?
Your morning mastery.
Your morning mastery. It's just one of those things, right? So, but if you can go in and add value and connect with them, you might lose a deal here or there, but you're not losing deals to Zillow. You're not losing deals to Redfin when they're like, oh, Amy, man, she brought her truck over here. She helped us move out. I tell my agents all the time, you know what's a great thing? When you have problems in your transaction. They're like, huh? You actually get to shine. You actually get to be of value. Flip the narrative. You have deals going bad. You have problems popping up. It is your time to shine and become memorable. Oh, my agent navigated me through that. Oh, yeah, they brought their whole entire team over there moving bedrooms and furniture out. Now, we're not a moving company, but believe me, we've done it multiple times. Anything you can do to become more memorable, flip the narrative. When you get into a problem, think about it. Oh, here's my opportunity to be memorable. Here's my opportunity to actually show my value. That's an opposite thought than how we normally feel, isn't it? Oh, here's my time to come up with creative solutions to solve this. I talked to a team member of mine the other day, and I'm like, guys, everything's shifted. So now I'm going back into the archives of my mind, and I'm like, okay, we can do this and this and this. Let's renegotiate everything. And they're like, I never even thought of that. I go, yep, everything's changed. What do you call that? Who moved my cheese? The cheese has moved. Let's renegotiate all this we had like a chain. I go, well, this falls apart. All these people are going to they don't want to fall apart. So let's go back. Everyone can help. Everyone can pitch in. Let's save a deal. Don't just send a release. Get everyone involved. Let all parties be involved. I said, just send in a release. Not going to work. Most transactions fall apart. I've gone well over my time, and I'm sorry. Most transactions fall apart because of agents. Agents quit. Truth. Most fall apart because of agents quitting and not going, I'll step into it again. I'll lay my ego down. I'll lay whatever down. Well, that's not going to go very far. Got to work together. Be solution focused. All right. Anybody else?
Know your stuff. Sometimes you have to get back to the basics.
So much. We are at that point. We are back to the basics. And it kind of feels good. You know, this last year when we had all these multiple offers coming in, every multiple offer situation, because my market's small enough, I gave every agent the opportunity to come in and present their own offers to my client. Because that's what we used to do. And guess what? I loved it. And I've had all my agents, when they were competing, they always ask the question, can I come present my offer to the client? You know why? Get us in front of somebody. Get me in front of somebody. I might not have the best terms, but guess what? If I connect with you, and your story, my client's story connects with you, you may not take the highest offer. You might take my offer. Most agents just send it off an email, dot loop it. Did I get it? Well, excuse me, that's a poor excuse of representation. I call BS on that part of our industry. Get involved with your clients. Go fight for them. Right? Instead of, yeah. Yeah, mindset. Big time.
One the aha that I got was when you said authenticity. This morning there was an event for the Women App, which is hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, and there's the speaker. She actually talked about exactly what you're saying. So it feels like it just hits me twice today, and it talked about. And it actually hit me in the sense of, as a real estate agent, you're constantly trying to be someone else. And then you're trying to build yourself from pieces of other people that are successful. And you get to the point where you really, truly lose yourself. And the authenticity really hits me because when you leave all that behind and you really focus on who you are and you connect as who you are and not as pieces of others, it gets you so much. That's when basically you do the impact of people. When people bump into exactly what you said, into an authentic person, then that hits you. That really truly hits you. You're not repeating a script. You're not doing this so many steps that everybody else is doing because it's just a matter of numbers. It's more as a number of the quality of the person and that connection. So that's.
It's powerful when you can sincerely say, I don't want to be anybody else on this planet but me. And I'm going to be the absolute best version of me. I have no interest in being anybody else. But there was a time when I was 25 and I'm looking at these top producers and I'm thinking, man, what would it be like to be them? They're doing so great. This is so awesome. And my broker cured it for me in a 10-minute conversation, and I've never looked at it again. He said, Amy, if you take one part of their life, you got to take the whole package. You got to get their husband, you got to get their family, you got to get their problems, you got to get their looks, you got to get everything. Now, do you really want to be somebody else? No! I like what I got. Anybody else?
I think it ties back whenever you were talking about trying to not let something terminate, like go the distance on it. And also, with us being a smaller community, per se, compared to like Charlotte or something like that, the agents tend to know each other. If you're an agent that's going to fight and keep something alive, the next transaction, that agent's going to remember you.
100%.
And you are going to carry that weight in a multiple offer situation. I've won many multiple offers just because they said, we know you will get it to closing no matter what.
100%. That's great comments. 100%. You're right. Yeah. Anybody else? Well, it's been a real honor and privilege for me, so I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, we have 2 more minutes. Does anybody have anything else? Well, she just told me we had 2 more minutes. I thought I was over my time, but we have 2 more minutes.
Okay, tell us about your morning, your routine with your agents. How do you?
My agents, so our team meets.
Or do you meet 5 times a week?
Our agents meet every day. So our buyer's agents meet for about a half hour every morning in person. I mean, I'm in a small market. During COVID, we took a break from coming to the office for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then I said, no, we're in the human connection business. We have real estate to sell. Get back in the office if you're safe, if you feel good. I mean, if you don't, fine, but I have a huge office. We have 10,000 square foot. We have space, right? We can breathe. Right? You can get your 6 foot. Hey, fast forward to my kids, will you? Where's that clicker at?
It's up on the podium up there.
Here's my greatest accomplishment. My greatest, right here. I got married late in life. Having kids was not an easy process for us, right? And they are my why. And when you know your why, you're going to go knock on doors if you have to knock on doors. You're going to go the distance when you know your why. And I look at those beautiful kids right there, and I'm like, I'm going to create a bright, bright future for them that's rich with opportunity. But they're going to know the value of hard work too. But you know what I mean? But literally, you got to know your why. That group right there, my most favorite people on the planet, that's my why. My husband, I got married late in life again, just as I said. I couldn't do what I do without him. So I'm extremely grateful. Does that mean we haven't had challenges? Yeah, we've had challenges. I've had a lot of challenges. But guess what? So have you. And you've overcome, and you're here. Right? So we got all this opportunity now. Hey, I do want you to hook up to my podcast. You Are More. Every week I'm trying to bring encouragement, enlightenment, directions to keep moving forward and all that you're supposed to be on this earth to do. Right? And I think that it'll be really impactful for you. Do I get to introduce my dear friend Marty now?
In 1 minute. In 1 minute.
In 1 minute. I'm getting confused because I kept seeing all these numbers back there telling me to wrap it up.
She drank too much tea.
All right. It's all good. It's all good, right? Huh?
Oh, yeah, I just loved what you said. And this wasn't even necessarily about executing real estate, but just how you introduced yourself when you said you had those 30 seconds of radical courage and you just went for it. Because it's so easy to talk ourselves out of things. And if we can go in and be like, why not me? Why not say Hi.
Guys, I was just with Marty. She was in Iowa, and I had to have the same radical courage because I'm not a sports fanatic. Who is in my market, Marty? Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was in. Oh, that tells me so bad. Peyton Manning, and is it Drew Clark? Somebody. Anyway, Peyton Manning. Everyone knows Peyton Manning, right? He walked into a restaurant in my small market when I was with Marty. And Martha was there too. And everyone's discussing, that looks like Peyton Manning. But I just ignore that because he's not going to be in our area. And literally, he said something, and an agent at my table said, nope, it's him. That's his voice. So they walk upstairs, and it's all in this private space upstairs. And I text my nephew, because that's his hero. I go, Peyton Manning is in the building at this restaurant. You should get down here. He goes, Amy, I can't, but you need to go get a picture. Here's the thing. It took, again, 30 seconds of radical courage. So I walk upstairs to the restaurant, or walk upstairs, and I'm like, the people are like, what are you doing, Amy? Because I send a lot of gift cards and stuff there. They're like, what are you doing? I go, just washing my hands. Gonna check things out. Actually, I'm just looking at this whole room. I'm observing, like, how am I gonna make an entrance there? Literally, I said to the lady who asked me, I go, hey, do me a favor. Here's my phone. I'm gonna walk over to him, and I'm gonna get a picture. Because my nephew wants that picture. So literally, I was so nervous. I'm like, this is how life is, though. I walk up to him like, hey, you know what? My sister and her family, they have 3 dogs named after Peyton Manning. Like, I mean, they got all these. They're like huge Peyton Manning fans. Their dogs are named after him. Anyway, I walked up and I go, my nephew, he would love to see me in a picture with you guys. I mean, you guys are rock stars. You've changed our world. Can I get a picture? And they're like, yes, of course. 30 seconds of radical courage. Because I was nervous to walk over to him because they had their back to the wall. They didn't want anyone coming in that room. Just 30 seconds. Marti Hampton is a dear, dear friend of mine. I'm so honored to introduce her today. I can go on and on and on about what an icon she is in this industry. She's blazed a trail for women. She's created so many opportunities. She's an overcomer as a single mom. I just like to everyone likes the overcoming stories, right? As a single mom, she created a life of legacy and opportunity for her kids that is unheard of. Through hard work, she pops back all the time. She's got the best attitude, but she's got one of the biggest hearts that I know. And that's really what I love about her. So I can sing her accolades as #1 agent in the United States, #3 in the world for multiple years. But the true gift is who she is as a human being. And she's impactful. She's amazing. Her whole desire is to, add value to people's life and to create legacy for her generations and to create legacy in this real estate industry, to keep it moving forward, to keep it sustainable so that generations moving forward have opportunity like she's had. So I'd love the opportunity to introduce to you my dear friend, Marti Hampton. Woo! Woo!
Did I tell you, no, my voice is not going to go out on me. Did I tell you she'd bring the juice? I tell my team all the time, I said, you got to bring the juice. I said, you've got to bring the energy that makes your career go. I've got some things up here I'm going to get, and then I'm going to come down from the stage. Because I'm actually going to talk about, oh, he's got me a clicker. That's exciting. I'm actually going to ask a question. I got a chance to talk to a few of you before you started, but how many of you are actually born and raised in Western North Carolina? That's not even half the room. You people came here from other places. Okay, well, I want to tell you a story about a gal who was born in Bat Cave, North Carolina. Do you know how many jokes? I moved to 6 different states, but do you know how it is when somebody asks you where you're from and you have to say Bat Cave, North Carolina? It's not a good moment. And, so you say, I don't know, I was born in Asheville or something like that. But no, I actually wasn't. I was born in Bat Cave. And they used to have missionaries over there, believe it or not. And so that was it. So I moved in there. And so I'll tell you, I'm going to give you a 60-second tour of my life because I want you to know who you're talking to. And I want you to know that I've been exactly where you've been, and maybe I've been lower than you've been. But I did become the #1 agent for RE/MAX, big team. I ran the #1 team for RE/MAX in North and South Carolina for over 10 years. I'd probably still be the #1 team in RE/MAX. And then in 2014, 8 years ago, I was the #1 team in the United States for RE/MAX, the #3 in the world. And actually, it was funny because now, teams are the future of this industry. So if you hadn't hooked up, that's a term I guess the young people use for different things, but I'm talking about hooking up with somebody else to do business with, because really who you're around is really, really, really important. So I became the #1 team, but it didn't start out that way, folks. Let me tell you something. By the time I left home when I was 15, my friend over here, Ro, also left home. She was 15. So I got married, and I had very poor upbringing, so I didn't know how to marry, and I really screwed that up for years and years, and a lot of mistakes there. But I had my first child when I was 19 years old, and by the time I was 25, I had 3 children at home, 2 bad marriages, and I wasn't doing too well after I left home at 15. I thought I was smarter than everybody there, and it turns out I was in worse shape. But one thing it did give me, and I want to ask you, is number one, I want to ask you 2 questions. Are you thinking big enough about what you can do with your real estate career? That's the first question I really want you to ask yourself. And the second thing I want you to ask yourself is, are you really clear on why your motivation and why you will do it? I was really clear when I came home every day to see those 3, you can't see them in that picture, but they had blue eyes, I had brown eyes, and I looked up at those, those 6 little blue eyes looking at me, feed me. They depended on me for their world, and I was single at 25, and I didn't have a college degree. And I said, what am I going to do? Because it looks like, I can type, but that's not that great of a credential. What am I going to do? So I said, well, I think I'll go to real estate. Did you know that less than 4% of people that get into this industry as their first career? Well, I was one of that very small percent. It might not be 4, but it's really low percentage. So anyway, let me go back to that. I did raise those kids in the great profession of real estate, which you have the opportunity to do. You have a great opportunity in real estate. I raised those kids, and I like to say that I gave them just the necessities of life. I certainly sent them to college. I paid for all their college. They didn't have college loans. I sent them to Europe. I had a couple that went 2 times on my credit card. I bought them cars. I bought them braces, just the necessities. So I got those kids raised. So that was my first mountain. And that's another question I've got for you is, what's your next mountain? What is your next? Because there's always got to be a mountain in front of you guys, because you can't just live on your laurels. You can't live on what's past. So I got those kids raised, and actually, oh my goodness,
Get you some better sound here.
Technical difficulties. Let's get
it up higher. Let's try that.
Okay. So the next mountain that I had is I had this sweet little mother that my parents divorced when I was about 12 or 13, and I actually moved to Asheville, the Oakley area, if you happen to know it. And I was here until I got smart enough to leave at 15. But anyway, my parents' mother I kept in touch with. The rest of my family was gone away. I was an only child, this, that, and the other. So my mother married. She worked in a factory. She never made more than $26,000 a year. She married my stepfather. This is the house they lived in Hendersonville. That's the barn. They had a garden. They lived at 1,200 square feet. And my mom was very precious to me, and she hung with me through the wild years. So anyway, I got my mom, and through real estate, I was able to build them a home down from me, about a half a mile, and I moved them into that house, and they lived downstairs, and they had the east wing for my stepfather and the west wing for my mother, and the halls were big enough that they could use their little walkers down in the hall. And they actually met each other every day at 6 o'clock to have a date to watch the evening news. So it was great times. And then I told my mom, I said, look, if your health ever gets really bad, I'll move in. because we had a house down at the beach and up in the mountains. I said, and so there was an upstairs, and so my mom's health got really bad in the worst year in real estate history. That was 2010, by the way, and I moved upstairs. And there was 2 big rooms upstairs, and it was my privilege to take care of my mom and my stepfather until they passed. And that was another mountain that I climbed. So what's your next mountain? So after that, you know, it's that's something that happens to you when you lose somebody. You lose a lot. And those things that you go through in life are really important. But always ask yourself, I've got a great opportunity here. What am I going to do? What's my potential? You know, your potential is such a thing that people talk about, but you have great potential in this industry. You've just got to catch hold of it. You've got to believe it. You've got to internalize it, and you've got to know your why. You've got to be clear on why you're going to go through this downturn, and we're going into a downturn, and you're going to lose probably, NAR says we're going to lose about 30% of our agents. We're going to lose people that should be in this industry, should make it through. So why will you make it through? So I found my next why. My next why was a great team. I call it my work family. This is my work family. Now I get a chance to see people like Beth and Emma and Scott, which are here with me today. I get a chance to see them have the same opportunity. And fortunately, I actually joined a company. I left RE/MAX and joined a company where they have the same opportunity as the person who owns the business. So I love watching people get excited about real estate.
I have to switch mics. This one's making a little too much noise.
Uh-oh, I've really got mic issues. Okay. So anyway, the rest of this story is really how I made it. Okay, guys. The rest of this story is really how I made it in real estate. And I'm going to focus on listings. And I know there's a lot of buyer's agents in the room, but I'm asking you, let's talk about hooking up again. Let's hook up, because there's usually 2 parts to a sale. And every buyer's agent ought to be asking every single listing, every person that they talk to, do you have a home to sell before you buy? Because so many times they depend totally on their team leader, or they depend on the next thing that's going to happen. And the truth is, you've got an opportunity to fill a store. Let's say you went out and bought a store. I don't know what kind of store that would be, but you would have to have inventory to put in that store. And but when you bring your own juice and your own energy, you're able to fill the shelves of a store with multi-million dollars worth of inventory. Then you have a chance to sell that. And not only do you have a chance to sell that, but other people in the market work for you. So if you have the listings, they have to come work with you. And folks, listen, I've been through 4 downturns. It doesn't matter. Now in 2008, I probably carried 125 to 150 listings. Carried a lot more listings at that point in time. But the truth of it is if you have all the marbles, they have to come play with you. Sometimes you have to have more marbles than others, and sometimes you have to go through more people to get to the motivated sellers, because some of the sellers out there are going to believe that so-and-so down the street got this amount for their house, and so my house is worth more than that. You do know that, don't you? I have a bonus room. I have a pool out back. My house is worth more. So you've got to be the one that really understands how to go through and how to get those sellers. And so that's really what my whole presentation is about, is win the listing in any kind of market. And the first thing I would say about winning listings is you got to find them. And frankly, if your phone's not ringing, and they're not asking you to come interview for the job of selling their home, you got to find them. So you got to make the call. So before they knew my name in my market, I had to bring the juice. I had to call them. And calling people, you know, I talk to my team about this all the time, but I don't think anybody really understands how much energy it takes to call people. You really have got to set a rule. You know, when I was raising those 3 kids, believe me, I didn't go home until I'd talked to 20 people a day. Talking to 20 people a day is like, at the end of the day, your head feels like a sucked out orange. Yeah, because it's mentally taxing to talk to that many people. But you have to do it. You have to. Real estate is still a numbers game. It's still a relationship game. All of those things are important. But you've got, if you are the sole provider, you got to make your numbers. And so I made the numbers every single day. And I called people, and I learned how to call people. And eventually, really my forte was for sale by owners. And in my market, when I was your age, Emmanuel, they would call me and they say, oh, there's a for sale by owner down the street. It won't be too long until Marty signs up. Because I would call them. And it was a simple approach for me. When I called a sale for sale by owner, I'd say, Mr. Seller, this is Marti Hampton. Because when you talk to somebody you don't know, the very first thing you do is introduce yourself. You don't start have you had a nice day? Well, who are you? Who are you calling me for? Introduce yourself. Be a professional. This is Marti Hampton. I'm with XYZ Realty. I know you have your house for sale by owner. Tell me, if you don't sell your house in a certain amount of time, would you consider interviewing agents for the job of selling your home? It's just a real simple, I'm a kind of a straightforward kind of gal. It's a real simple approach, and most of them are rational on the other side. And say, yeah, if I don't sell it in, a month or a month and a half, I'll sell it. Some of them are going to say, no, if I don't sell it, I'm just going to stay here. Well, that's the ones you say, oh, that's great. You go with that. But you have to make those calls. That's a great approach to a for sale by owner. So you have to earn your name recognition. There's other ways to earn your name recognition. There's some really great networkers in this market. I'm not one of them, by the way. I flunked networking. I'm a great salesperson. So I couldn't wait for things to happen. And that's what happens to most agents in this market, is they're waiting for that phone to ring. They're waiting for something to happen. That is not a good strategy. It's not a good strategy for real estate. You got to go to business every single day. You got to go to work and say, I'm going to make something happen. I'm going to find me a deal. I'm going to get a deal today. And with me, I was going to get a listing today. Now, first of all, when I started in business, I did work with buyers. And I did have one approach to working with buyers. I wanted their loyalty. And if they were loyal to me, I would work with them, 6 months to 10 months. It felt like a year sometimes. But anyway, eventually, I let that go. And I began to totally list. And my business probably was 80 to 90% me listings. And that's when I got buyer's agents to work with me. And when those leads would come in, and they do come in, whether it's on the internet or whether it used to be a call, it used to be a text, whatever, I would let my buyer's agents have that portion of the business. And that's the way I started a team before teams were really, really important. Let's see my clicker again, Dave. So I wanted to tell you another thing about when you have a listing, the world can revolve around that. You can make your business, if 80% of your business is focused towards getting listings, you can get a whole business. So how many listings are you carrying right now? Just keep that to yourself. But really, when you learn how to carry 5 listings, can you pump that up to learn how to carry 10 listings? When I had 10 listings, I wanted 20 listings. I wanted my store to be full of inventory so that people would call me and call my team. And that's the way you do multiple deals, folks. There's too many agents in this market that are focused on how much of commission am I going to get over here? And let me run over here to this company because they're going to give me 10% more in commission. You will go broke. You will go broke if the only thing you care about is a high commission from whoever you're splitting with. You've got to learn how to do multiple deals per month. And so that's the way I did it. Another thing is you can do when you have a listing is you can get to know the neighborhood. And when you focus on neighborhoods, for Pete's sakes, focus on a neighborhood that's a high turnover neighborhood. Don't focus on the neighborhood that only, one house is going to sell this year. Let's find one where the 10s or the 20s are going to sell. So there's things you can do in that neighborhood. You can call that neighborhood, and there's still services out there, Kohl's, there's a bunch of services that will give you the people that are on the do not call list, they'll weed those out. And what you'll do is when you make that call to that home seller, you will say, Ms. Kaplan, this is Marti Hampton with XYZ Realty. I just wanted you to know I listed a house near you on 123 South Street. And we're going to put it on the market. And I wanted you to know about, because a lot of times a homeowner will know about some houses in the area. They will know somebody that wants to live near to them. And I just wondered, do you know anybody who wants to live in your neighborhood? Now that's not an intrusive, that's not a real high touch, hard sale call. That's a friendly call. So the second call you would make in that neighborhood, if you're trying to get known in that neighborhood, you're trying to have name recognition, is you would say in that neighborhood, Miss Smith, this is Marti Hampton again. I wanted you to know that we're going to have an open house. We're going to have our first open house for 123 South Street this Saturday. And I'd love for you as a neighbor to come by. And that way, if you know anybody at your church or you know anybody that would want to live in this neighborhood, you would know about it. Now, let me tell you something. People want to know about houses in their neighborhood and value. And you're talking to people about real estate. And one thing I want you to remember right now is that you're going to have to get better at tracking people and keeping in touch with people a lot longer in the market going forward than in the market that was past. The market that was past, a lot of people were ready to do business. The market that's going forward, number one, you're going to have to go through more people to find the motivated people to do business with. Number two, you're going to have to hold on to those people. You might talk to people this year that are going to do business next spring. You might talk to people this year that are going to be busy next fall. Are you set up? Do you have a CRM? Are you set up? Or are you like me? What I did for the first couple of years in real estate, it was a note in my car while I was driving, and it was probably in the back seat, and it was just all kinds of bad stuff. But anyway, you can get really good in a neighborhood. You can get your name recognition, but you're going to have to make the calls until they know your name to call. And so when you have that open house, folks, they're looking at you. The neighbors are looking at you. They're looking at your level of expert, your level of expertise, your level of energy of how you're going to do it. They're telling us now to put out 40 signs for an open house. Let me tell you something. One person that walks into an open house is a better deal for you. They're a better prospect for you than many, many things that you could do in this industry. So if you're there and you only have one or two person, don't call that a flop. If you're there and you don't have anybody, don't call that a flop. You may have done it on the weekend of ACC and everybody's watching basketball in North Carolina. Or you may do it on the Super Bowl weekend or something crazy like that. Don't do that. Pick your timing. A great agent knows when their timing is there. So that's part of the... I'll leave my clicker again. Here it is. So the next thing you got to do is after you get to the point where you really have got to be at peace with that you're going to have to do the finding. And what is your level of income that you want to make? I mean, I don't know about you, but when Amy was talking about Louis Vuitton, when I shop, I want to buy. I don't want to window shop too much, but I do want to buy. You're going to have to get peace with that. So that's the biggest thing. So the next thing I want to tell you is about follow-up once the appointment is made, setting the appointment. Follow-up once the appointment is made has always been really important to me because most agents do not spend enough time on the phone with their clients. And it's a little bit like Amy was talking about if you're talking to a doctor. Now imagine right now it's a bad imagine, but you're going to the doctor for a very serious illness. You're going to the doctor, and that doctor, you've been sent to that specialist Amy was talking about, and that specialist is going to speak to 50 people this week that have a very similar problem to you. Do you imagine that specialist is going to say the same things to those 50 people? However, if that specialist makes that person with that problem feel like they're being heard, it's a very important part of the process. They call that bedside manner. In our business, they call that salesmanship. And I would tell you with all my heart that many, many salespeople think they're going to be heard by the much speaking that they do. But I want to tell you that the secret is how intently you can listen to that person. And you can hear that person, and you can connect with that person. And you don't do it by telling them how great you are. You do it by finding out what their heart is, what's their biggest challenge, what's their motivation. So before the appointment is set, I'm going to give you 2 Marvinisms today. I'm married to a man named Marvin. He spews out things of wisdom to me quite on a regular basis. But so one thing he told me, he was in the software business for years and years, and one thing he told me was never go into a meeting where you don't know the agenda. That's a business rule, not necessarily real estate. And so many times when an agent gets a call to come interview for the job of selling my house, says, "Oh my God, I'll be there too." They don't ask the questions. But the truth is, you need to know the agenda. Many times in my market, I'm in a huge market compared to yours. There's over probably 30,000 agents in my market, so there's a lot of competition. So I want to know what I'm walking into as much as I can. So I developed something over the years called my magic green sheet. And you can ask me for it, but I'm glad to give it to you. But basically it just prompts me and it prompts my agents to talk to the person and to get that person on the phone, that prospective seller, to tell me about their home. Now, they all want to tell you about their home. They'll tell you 5 bedrooms, 2 baths, and what upgrades have you made. But the next thing you want to hear is their motivation. That's what you're really, really getting into, because that's what you've got to sell back to them. Maybe they're moving to another city. They need to be there before school starts to have their kids in that school. So you've got to sell that back to them, especially if you're telling them that their price is going to be not quite as much as they wanted that to be. And you do have to tell them that their price may not be as much as what they wanted to be, because in my market, I don't know your market, you've got some statistics out here, but in my market, if you're using comparables that are over 90 days old, you're overpricing the house. So you need to use it pending, you need to be up to date on that information. So using that magic green sheet, is it already that time already? Oh my goodness, I gotta go fast. I'm gonna take a little bit of your question and answer time if that's okay with you. You've got to he puts up those signs back there and I forget what I was talking about. But anyway.
Something very important.
Something very, very important. The motivation of the seller is key, because as you know, people have got different motivations, and you've got to focus on why they want to sell. What's their next move? There's always 2 times to a sale. There's always 2 sides to a sale, and most of the time there's a buy on the other side. Sometimes sometimes they're not, and maybe they're moving to a rest home, but most of the time they're going to buy something on the other side, and you have to keep them focused on, even though they may not be getting what they want out of the sale of their house, that there's going to be another side to that sale, and that market will equal out. So in preparation for that meeting, we actually have some prompts that I'll show you, but when we go to meet with the person, we always give a gift. Dave, if you got a chance, you can hand me that. It's a book that I've got up here. It's something that actually Amy gave to me when I went to her market. In the podium. But so one of the first things that we do when we meet with a seller is we bring them this little book. You can look at it on the break or something. But it's reciprocation. You know, we're still in the South, by the way, and it works anywhere, but basically when you give something to somebody, they want to reciprocate to you. It's just a human instinct. We actually have cartoon books that we give to the children if we know there's going to be children in the family, because if you give a gift to my child, you've given a gift to me. So there's things that we do by meeting them. And then I have this game that I play when I walk into a house, and I warmly introduce yourself and thank them for inviting you to their home, to interview for the job of selling their home. But then the game I play is the first one that talks loses. And so would you show me around your house? And so when they show me around the house, I'm taking notes, and I am listening intently, looking into their left eye, and I am listening so hard, and I'm taking down notes, but I don't talk. And what I do is this game I play with myself is I listen, I shake my head, and if I have to talk, I'll say something like, oh yes, I can sell this house. But I don't talk, because that takes away from the time at the kitchen table is where you're going to get the listing signed. So I take my time through that, and I go to the kitchen table, and then basically I will go back through the things that I've asked them on the green sheet. And I will have my notes, and I'll have here's what you told me when we talked on the phone. You want to be in St. Louis before school starts for your children, or wherever that might be. Whatever their motivation is, you're going to get back to that. And then you're going to go over the comps, and of course pricing is going to be really key. And you're going to have listings for a longer period of time. When the 2008 crisis hit, I wouldn't list a house for less than 1 year. You know, right now it's popular, 6 months has been popular for a long time, but I do 1 year. So another thing, going quickly, because I think I'm out of time already, is we do a lot of things on a coming soon listing. We have a coming soon platform. You could have it too. We're glad to talk to you about that. But basically, I believe in preparing the house before we open it to the market. If we take the time, we have a staging consultation, and you know what? You as an agent can stage a house. You don't have to have a stager. We do, because we've grown to that extent. But I've met very few houses that were ready for me to show them the day I walked into them. They usually needed a little spiffing up. So we give them the opportunity for the staging. But the reason to hold that back, you know one of the greatest things about sales is if you want to sell something, you tell the public, you know, you can't see it right now. You can't have it right now. And what do they want? They want it so bad. So hold it back. Don't show a house before it's ready to be shown, because you never get a chance for a second impression. It's the very best way for you to handle a listing. Plus, during that time, statistically, that the most interest of a house is just in the very beginning days. You know, in the market I just got out of, it was in the very few first hours. There was like 20 offers in the first day. So it was an hourly thing. As this market progresses, that's going to change and that's going to lengthen. But the coming soon is really, really important. I think y'all have the same rules that we do now in Raleigh. And the reason they do this is because they want to make you all the same. And so when you put a house in as a coming soon listing, they start counting your days on the market. Now, we put in the first of the listing, this house will not be shown until such and such a date. So that kind of cancels out what they're saying. So that gives us a chance to do that. But coming soon to me is a very, very important part of my process. And as he's holding me up this thing to say question and answers, I could talk all day about listings, because I know if you master listings, you will be able to create a high income for your family. I know you will have a name in your community if you learn how to master listings. And let's just be really honest, that's where the sales is. I get in a lot of trouble for this, but what the heck. Any little housewife can pick up a friend and go sell a house. It takes a sales professional to go in, compete with other people, and come out with a signed listing. So I encourage you to think more about your listings. I've got some great one-liners that I can tell you that I use in listings, but that's for another day when we've got more time to talk. I'm going to give you a chance for questions and answers. I had to go really quickly. I hope you got some questions for me, because I can answer them.
Well, would you think about reducing your commission on this list?
You know, number one, if they ask me that on the phone, I will never go over a fee on the phone. I will say, you know, certainly commissions are flexible. And when I meet with you, I'll go over all the fees associated with the sale of your home. Because they're so focused on your commission, they're not understanding the taxes they're going to have to pay, everything else. So I'll go over all the fees associated with selling your home. But I really can't tell you until I have a chance to see it. So that's how I would handle it. Anything else? Get in the door. Get that face-to-face thing going on. You can do it. Anybody else? Oh, please.
How about small house?
Huh?
How about small house for Marti? What'd you learn? You just poured into you. What'd you learn?
Listen more.
Yeah.
And that we probably aren't thinking big enough.
We're not thinking big enough. You're not thinking you can do big things in this industry. And we're settling. And, you know, to that, I'm going to leave you with a poem. And then I'm going to introduce somebody. And the poem is this. It's out of the book, Think and Grow Rich. How many of you have ever read Think and Grow Rich? The poem is, I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more until I counted at evening, and I counted my scanty score. But life is a just rewarder. It'll pay you what you ask, but once you set the wages, you must bear the task. I worked for menial hire, only to learn, to my dismay, that whatever price I would have asked of life, life would have willingly paid. So what price are you asking? You're in an industry that has no limit. You've got to think big for it. All right. Well, I'm going to introduce, you know, when I introduce this English-speaking lady, I almost think it's 1776, and I'm watching a Outlander review or something from, y'all know who Outlander is, don't you? Okay. Well, she's, oh, please. Rowena Patton is an English gal that left home when she was 15 years old. She worked in many, many industries before she got into real estate. She's written a bestseller book. She's a KW Maps trainer. She's got an incredible ability to train agents, to help agents. She's one of my friends. I met her at a mastermind where we were a little bit bored with the speaker that was happening that day, and we were in Dallas, and she said, oh, Marty, she said, I've always wanted to go see where they filmed, you know, JR, what was the name of that thing? Dallas. I said, oh, me too. So we got an Uber, and we drove about 20 miles, and that house is incredibly small. I was expecting this big mansion. It was really, really small. So we had a great time. She's been a great friend of mine since that time. I've learned a lot from Rowena. One of the things that Rowena does really well is she helps people that are just getting into this industry, and what she'll do is she'll train them in a position in her office as a paid employee. They've just got their license, they're just stepping into real estate. How am I going to make it? How am I going to make it ends meet? So she will train them and pay them as an inside sales agent. And when they evolve, and then they can graduate to being an agent. But during that time, she gives them a chance to earn. And I think that's a tremendous way to get into this business. So with great pleasure, I introduce a friend, a colleague, and somebody you're going to learn a lot from, Rowena Patton.
Well, better bring it now, hadn't I? Good Lord.
Please stand up if you've been, I'm going to embarrass my team now. You all know I like to do that. Please stand up if you've been through the Why You Learn program. That means an ISA on my team. Come on, Tyler. Get your butt up. Where's Heather? Where's Amy? Amy's a speaker later on, and Amy started out with me. How many years ago, Amy? 14 years ago? Back when we were 3, Amy stuck it out with me. So a lot of people have been through it. You can sit down, guys, sorry. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a big ride. Like many of you, I've been through real estate in all kinds of ways, the good times, the bad times, the highs, the lows, and you just keep going. Who's been in real estate since before 2008? Put your hand up if you were in before 2008. A few of you. How about before 2006? So who remembers the high times in 2006? There's a lot of you who've been in real estate a long time. Thank you for being here today. That's a real honor. So who's only been in real estate for 2 years or less? Oh, we're going to have some fun. So I got into real estate in 2007. Does anybody remember what happened in 2007? We're going in the toilet. Everybody thought I'd lost my mind. I probably did lose my mind. I lost my mind very early on, but that's a whole other story. Yeah, very interesting times. I cried every third day. It's an honest, truthful story. I joined this company and they said, you talk funny and you have no sphere. This is a true story. One of the owners said, you talk funny and you have no sphere of influence in this market. You're going to find real estate really tough. That is honest to God what the owners of a very big company, but I joined them anyway because obviously I had lost my mind. And it was a great, great, amazing company for me for many, many years. Don't listen. Everybody's going to think you've lost your mind. Who's been in real estate a year or less? How about a month or less? Oh, I want to give you a hug, and he's all mine. Give him a round of applause. Good job, boyfriend. So you'll have a lot of friends and family. And those of us who have been in a long time, actually, you'll all have friends and family who say, you're out of your mind. So who's experienced that? Yeah, all of us, if we're honest, right? You must be out of your mind. I was putting leads on a credit card. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. Somebody called, it's so funny now because our CRM are like, oh, make the leads stop coming in. Then something came in. Amy probably remembers this too because she was there earlier on. A lead would come in, we'd go, oh my gosh, a lead's come in, it'd be 11 o'clock at night, we'd be texting each other. Because we did have text in those days, it was only 2007. And we'd be all excited because a lead came in. 98% of those leads will go nowhere. I'm going to talk about the depressing stuff for a minute. You all know that, right? Internet leads, 98% of them. So how do you set yourself apart so that you can win differently? Do you all know how many people are going for those leads that come in? Is it one other agent, 2 other agents? Who votes 10 other agents are going for that lead that come in? Who votes 6? Anybody else 6? Who votes 4 other agents are competing for that lead? In other words, they've signed up on Zillow, they've signed up on your website, they've seen some house that you put on Instagram or Facebook, and they've come in as a lead. It's 6 people. 6, 5 other agents plus you are competing. That's depressing, isn't it? Are we all depressed yet? I like to do the depressing stuff first. Because it's really fun, I think. So let me get even more depressing. I want you to think about what you want your best friend to stand up and say when you die. Did I tell you I'd give you all the depressing stuff first? Because that's when it gets really amazing, when you find out what you're passionate about. We had a long conversation about this last night. Has anybody been to any of my trainings before, by the way? A few of you. So I'm the girl that's known for trainings where I throw what I was going to talk about out of the window and go what I feel is right for the people in the room. I'm not going to do that. We're going to talk about unique value proposition as well. But I'll throw some of it out. So, when you find out what you're passionate about or what you love in the world, everything changes. So think for a minute, what are the top 3? Oh, we're going to do an exercise. This is fun. You got little books. Aren't these books cute? Amy's team and Marti's team, stand up. Uh-huh. See, they're all shy. They're all shy. I just want to say thank you very much because you've done an amazing job pulling all this off. And the little books are just one part of it, but those are the cutest little notebooks I've ever seen, anything like this ever. Right? I think they're darn cute. So write down the top 3 things that you want your best friend, family member, whatever, it's not you. You're in the coffin, everybody's taking a look at you. You got all your nice makeup on and stuff. You look real pretty. What are they going to say about you? What are the top 3 things you want them to say about you? We're in the age of authenticity. By the way, the 3 of us spent very little time discussing what we were going to say today, and we're all talking about the same things. It's very interesting. And you're not going to hear anything magical that you haven't heard 19 times before, but hopefully we'll give it to you in a bit of a little different way where it will stick. So what are those 3 things that you want somebody to say about you? You're investing 3 minutes right now to write down your life's achievements. Could be very simple. It made me happy. They loved me through times that were really hard. Anybody have that? I'm going to get all choked up. I'm not going to tell you. Anybody have that friend that's been there for you when times are hard? Put your hand up if you know that friend. I've got one sitting in the room. I might tell you a story later when I've had a drink, maybe. I tell lots of stories when I've had a drink. Don't be around me if you don't want to hear the stories. I'll tell you the story. Okay, deep breath. So I went through a divorce and I had lots of clothes because I was filling that gap, like we do with things, ladies. Boys do it too. What do boys do it with? Cars, things. We're all the same. It's stuff. We go and buy. It might be alcohol. It might be drugs. Any of you do it with alcohol and drugs? I want to meet you later. Just kidding. We do it with stuff, right? So Amy came over and she's like, what the hell's going on in this house? I think it was actually verbatim what she said, something along those lines. I said, well, I just don't know what to do. I've been packing up things. I got 5 months sell a possession after closing when I sold my house. I don't know what to do. There's stuff everywhere. It's really awful. And she goes into my bathroom and there's 12 giant black trash bags of clothes touching the ceiling. Am I right? Am I exaggerating? So I burst into tears and she said, what? She didn't just hug me. She went, I'm taking these right out now. We had a huge clothes sale at her house. We weren't even working together then. We've kind of worked together forever since we first worked together, and she went off on her own way, and I wished her well. And now she has her own real estate firm, and she'll be talking on the panel later. But those are the people that guide you through. Who wants to share one of the top 3 things that you wrote down? I was buying you some time there so you'd know. And by the way, you want to invest this time because those 3 things are your guiding questions for how you're creating your life. You know that, right? That's what you're working towards. Who wants to share one of the things? Who's going to be really brave and get into it? So I'm going to stand there and so Patrick's looking real pretty. We've got all his makeup on and everything, and he's smiling. He's had a lovely life, and you want me to say, Patrick made me happy, made me feel happy. Yeah, it'd be awesome. What else?
Loving and caring.
You know, that's Sheila Myers. She was so loving and caring, and I'd love to even give an example of what that would be like. What else?
Committed to her family, friends.
I've got a story about this gal as well, which is very funny. So Evelyn and I found her wandering on a street. Is that true?
Yes.
Maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. She was in from Franklin, you know, and little country girls from Franklin get lost in the big city of Asheville. She was walking down the street, and she just, you know, I do have a second sense from how I grew up. I've got a 7th sense, or whatever you call it. And she looked kind of lost. And I said, hey, lady, you lost, or something along those lines.
She stopped her car in the middle of the street.
Yeah, on a main street, downtown Asheville. She said, I can't find my car. And I put her in my car, and we drove all around, because I've been there. I've been lost at Gatwick. I've been with the little man with the beep, beep, beep in the rain for 3 hours looking for my car. I know what that feels like. So we rode around looking for Evelyn's car. So I'm going to say, oh gosh, Evelyn she's going to look really pretty because she's a girl, so you can put all the makeup on her and everything when she's laying there. And I'm going to say, Evelyn, gosh, she was so committed to her family. And I'm going to give some examples of that. That's a trick, by the way, in how you play all this out. You put some bullet points underneath. What does that look like? He made me really happy. What does that look like? Go a bit deeper. Peel the skin of the onion. What does that look like? What else? Give me one more. Willing to share time. Oh my gosh. That's such a hard one, isn't it? Especially when you're a busy person. We're all so busy. Are your kids ever going to stand up when you're going to be right there and you're very tall, Coffin, because you're a tall young man, and his kids are going to go, he was a really great dad because he worked a lot and he bought us things, but he never spent any time with us. Like, who wants to hear that? No one ever. So he was willing to share. He was always very busy, but he was always willing to share his time with us. What else? Empathetic. Right, so when you write things like empathetic, I love this, by the way, willing to share time. Put 3 examples. I want you all to do that right now. On anything you've written, put 3 examples underneath it. Because what does it mean? How does that play out? So mine is shine a light on the path such that others find their magic. And we do that through a unique value proposition. What does that look like? I can tell you what that looks like. It's not just some empty vision piece that everybody tells you to have. Right? It's hard to have a unique value proposition that's an empty vision piece. What does it look like to be empathetic? Some examples on that. That's what fleshes it out. By the way, this is you're all planning the direction of your life now that will change your life if you bother to spend just a little time doing this. What does it look like? So we're in the age of authenticity. People want to know who you are. By the way, everything we were just talking about is all about real estate. You know that. Any of my team can tell you we have this conversation every single day. It's not about how big a house do you want or how many bedrooms do you need. Go straight for a school's an issue. Do you have furry friends? Do you need a fence? Yeah, we've got a dog. Oh, what's your dog's name? Am I lying? Has anybody heard me say this? Yeah. What's your dog's name? What do you do, guys, when you find out what the dog's name is?
I text you and tell you what my client's dog's name is.
So you can find it later, because it's really fun when you go back and you know their dog's names or their kids' names, or you know that they went to some soccer tournament and did they win or not. It changes everything, absolutely everything. And then you'll have the client come to you and say, it's really tough right now because my wife just got diagnosed with cancer. What do you say next? What does everyone say? I'm so sorry. And then what do you do? So awkward pause and you don't know what to say next. Do you know what I say? What can I do to help? Do you have a plan? Honestly, what I'd say is, oh my gosh, you sound so young. What kind of cancer? Do you know that anybody who's had trauma in the room, who's had something terrible to happen to them or a close family member? Let's try it another way. Who hasn't had something bad happen to them or a family member? And the rest of you just aren't sure and you need some coffee at this point? Or we've all had something happen. What do people want to do? 98%, 99% of people want to do when something bad has happened. Then we want to talk about it. Who's been divorced in the room? Let's try another way. Who hasn't been divorced in the room? Tyler just got married and Carson just got engaged. So hopefully they're not divorced yet. That would be really bad, especially as one hasn't even been married yet. I'm picking on them, embarrassing them, they're used to it. So if you've been divorced, what happens in your friend circle? They get split up, right? How many of your friends, your real friends when you get divorced, actually want to spend any time with you? Very few, right? Oh, you don't want to, we don't know what to say. We don't want to, They'll get over it and the dust will settle after a while, and then we'll talk to them in 6 months maybe. How do you feel when you've been through that kind of trauma? How about when you're sick? Who comes to sit by your bed? Oh, they'll be better soon. Right? Any single one of your clients is going through any kind of trauma. Trust me, they want to talk about it. Now, you don't want to stay on the phone for 3 hours, but you do want to. Don't be afraid to step into that conversation. Because I don't remember the last time somebody told me I'm not comfortable talking about that. I literally don't remember. And nobody else will go there. How many agents are you competing against? 5 others. There's 6 of you, right? So what are you going to say? I want you to think about being an agent and standing outside the door. Right, you're standing outside the door and they're making you line up. This has happened, by the way. I've actually been in that situation. Good friend of mine, Brad Puffer, we were both standing outside together. You've probably all been in the situation where one car's driving out and you're like, yeah, bye. Good luck. I always go, good luck. Hope you get it. Kind of, sort of. But I do say good luck. Because why not, right? If you're going in and you're like, oh, there's another car coming out before me. And it was always Brad Puffer every single time. We had a lot of fun together. So 3 of you are standing outside the door. What are you, and you're working on your script. They're going to have you all in. You've got 5 minutes. What are you going to say? There's a whole page on it. So I've taught this to literally thousands of agents around the country. And I say, what's your unique value proposition? I should be able to tell you what page it's on, but I can't. It's in the book somewhere. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's probably page 17. So I wrote them all down on a whiteboard, and these are real. The ones that are in the book are real. I communicate better. I negotiate better. You can actually, one that actually works is I've sold more homes than anybody else. Marty can say that left, right, and center because that is important. I love it when people go in and they say, on our team we've got 360 years of experience. That's awesome. It's really, really awesome. Somebody actually in one of my classes said, I get back to people within 24 hours. That is the truth. That is the truth. It says anonymous underneath it. So when I got into this business, I had no clue what I was doing. I should never, ever have been set loose on the public, and I truthfully mean that. It was awful. I cried every 3rd day, and I am not a crier. I'm much more of a crier when I tell stories about my besties who've been there for me than I am, you know, in a real estate transaction or something. It's like, okay, how do we solve it? How can we? It was a very unpleasant experience. However, every unpleasant experience I looked at and said, how can we have a system or something? How can we help people? How can we help them not deal with this? And that wasn't by better photography or all what I call givens. Givens are things that people expect from any professional real estate agent. Quit trying to compete like that. Because we are going into a shifting market. Remember, I started in a shifting market. I love shifting markets. Why? Because I learned to differentiate myself. You can all learn to differentiate yourself. You all have it. How many people are going, I don't know how I can differentiate myself right now? Truthfully. Sheila, thank you. It seems like Sheila's a plant here because she's right in the front, but she's really not. If we have time, we've got 10 minutes, we might dig into it in a second. There are all kinds of ways that you can do it. I chose to do it through programs. I also chose to do it by being a real human being because it's shocking how many real estate agents aren't able to do that. They call and they say, how many bedrooms do you need? How many baths do you need? When are you looking? How much are you paying? Great, okay, I'll call you back in 3 months. That's what the other 5 agents are saying, by the way. If they've even picked up the phone, they've usually texted or emailed. You make more of a connection when you get on the phone. It doesn't work when you say, I sell more than the next person, maybe, like one-off. So I want you to have your script for when you're standing outside the door and you've got 5 minutes to walk in. I don't want you to use all the givens that they'd expect from anybody. So how do you do that? And you can copy all mine, by the way, and probably everybody in the room has a book, and we'll make sure you have one before you go out. It's literally written for agents. I don't think it was written particularly, well, okay, it was written okay. but it's not like a standout book in terms of its writing or anything else. It went bestseller on the first night because it's full of programs that we didn't have. And there was a big gap, there was a big hole for people wanting that because it's something different, right? It's something different. It's like, oh my gosh, how do we set our sides apart? And it's got all the scripts, tools, and techniques in there. Why do I share that with you all? Because I would love to be in Asheville, Henderson, Waynesville, Franklin, and am I missing anybody in the room here, apart from the guys who flew in? I'd love to be part of that market where we were known as the agents in the country. I would love nothing more than that. That would make me very, very happy. Sounds a bit cultish, doesn't it? I just realized that. So when you do something like Certified Pre-Owned, CPO, which is all in the book, you'll have a good laugh reading through the whole script for Certified Pre-Owned. When you can say something like, and I did this, by the way, in the beginning of 2007 because I was lazy and I didn't want to measure a house. That's the truth of it. I did not want to measure a house. So I thought, I can't handle these listings. I don't know what I'm doing. I was getting lots of listings because nobody could sell the house. I'm a brand new agent, by the way. So every single one of them, I'd say, yeah, absolutely, I'll come and meet you, but you have to have the appraisal before I come out and meet you. I don't even do that now. That's what I used to say. And you know what I said? You remember it. So I always said that 50% of them would say no, right? So therefore I could handle the listings I was getting, and the ones I was getting already had the appraisal. Made my job real easy, didn't it? What happened was it was different. In fact, agents in this market used to call me and say, what the heck are you doing? How dare you? Honestly. Like, I'm just asking them to get an appraisal. What's wrong with that? Well, almost all of them said yes because it was different. Nobody had asked them that before. So don't be scared to ask, whatever it is, right? So CPO, that's one, for example. So so this is getting to know. Everybody thinks of sales as getting to yes. How about getting to know? Well, if something is unique about me and I ask you, did you do this before? You didn't? Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me get that done for you, whatever it is. They're yours. Because otherwise you're trotting out all the same stuff as the other 5 agents. And it's going to be 5 agents. Until, what happened last time here, 2,000 agents went to 800. Don't be scared by that, guys. Flip the other side, offer something different, offer some value. In the absence of value, price matters. In the absence of value, commission matters. That's why when somebody says, will you cut your commission? I do exactly the same, and I would not discuss it until I go in. But when you show your value and what you do differently, why would they ask you to cut your commission? In fact, my line is, oh my gosh, no worries, I can absolutely, listen, I can find a cut rate discount broker for you, no problem. There's lots of them in town. And they go, no, okay, let's not do that. Every single time. Walking tour kills me. Please, I want to be part of the county that we're in, where we are the agents who do walking tour videos on every single house. We go in and out, we help a buyer, we get permission, we do a walking tour video. That house is yours, you're kind of the listing agent. You're the listing agent, how are you not doing walking tour videos? We've all got a camera. Here's what I hear. My voice doesn't sound right. Use your personality. You're dry, right? And you go to the figures, use that. Use it, address the elephant in the room. You know, I'm not very amusing, however, everybody says I should do video, so I'm going to do a video. And here's some granite and marble. And learn your stuff, guys. Learn whether it's granite or marble, please. Learn what, refrigerators are out there. Go to Home Depot. Go to the appliance stores. Learn what the higher-end ones are if you're interested in selling higher-end homes. Learn your woods. Go and look at the cabinet doors. Learn the basic ones, the maple, the wood. Do you know how many clients I've got? Because I go, oh, this is grade 3 red oak. Do you know what a grade 3 red oak floor is in this area?
It's real naughty.
95% of the homes, that's what it is. Do you know why it's great? Here, you can explain why the home is so great. Dark furniture goes with it, light furniture goes with it, and it doesn't show the dirt. True story. They love that, especially if they're selling it. So do a walking tour video. So how can you do it in my last 5 minutes? Your marketing, what do you do that 80% of others don't? The test for your unique value proposition, it does not have to be unique. That's a little trick there. It's do 80% of people not do this? We do the love it or leave it guarantee. So if you buy a home with us and you're coming in from New York, who has clients right now? 60 or 70% of your clients are coming in from somewhere else. All of us in this area. They're coming in from somewhere else. Are they nervous? Have they never heard of Franklin or Weaverville or Arden or the places outside Asheville? Because everybody's heard of Asheville because of all the marketing. We do a love it or leave it guarantee. We will sell it for 6 months for free and for 10 years at a discount if you come in. That's a unique value proposition. Because no one, how is it hard to offer that, guys? You're all scared because you'll be selling houses for free for 6 months. Ask me how many times I've done it in all the years in business. And we're at something like 4,000 transactions. It's been 2 or 3. That goes a very long way. What farm area, what farm area are you in? You all live in neighborhoods or a street, right? What do you know about that area and how are you talking about it? Are you doing videos about it? Are you doing blogs about it? You all live in an area, take that area over. And do not tell me I live in an area or a community with 12 other realtors. That's where I started. I had 125 listings in my first year. That is nothing to be proud of. Nothing to be proud of at all. You want to sell the darn things, not hold them. It's miserable. Because get ready, you're going to have all these sellers going, hey, I want to sell my house in 3 months. Like 3. Marty, how long did it take? Amy, how long did it take back then? That's what... I still take a listing agreement for a year because I haven't got out of the habit. Especially with land, it's even longer. It's normal. It might take 6 months, especially if you're over $500,000. What did you used to do? Oh, well, I just used to be a mom. Great, okay. You used to be a mom. You're going into boutiques. You're shopping for your kids. Is that unique? It's not unique, but you can connect to that niche, right? So are you going into the boutique saying, hey, I'm working with a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers in the area. I used to come in here for my kids. I love this place. Oh my gosh, this place is so cute. I've still got all those little cute shoes, little cute clothes that I bought for Bobby. So I just love this place. Would you mind if I talk about you? Because I'd like to recommend you as a place for other moms to go to. What do you think they're going to say? No? Can I give you a pile of cards? Thank you. How many other boutiques have you got to go to? Or anything to do with moms. Dogs. Anybody have a dog? Who's talking about where to go with dogs? Who has a blog right now where I can see where to go to any dog places, bakeries, vets, anything? Who likes dogs? Who's got a dog? How easy is that? And yet none of you are talking about where to go when you've got a dog, especially as a lot of these people are coming in from elsewhere. So I love what you used to do. You used to be a dental assistant. Go into every freaking you speak dental language. You speak dog language, whatever language it is. You used to be a hairstylist. Go into all the hair salons. Gosh, I used to be in this business. The equipment's moved on so much. It's amazing. I'd like to recommend you as a hairstylist or hair salon. Would you mind? Could I come in and talk to the manager? I'm working with a lot of buyers and sellers. Do you mind taking a pile of my cards? They're called multipliers, guys, multipliers. You all used to do something. Dental is a great one. You go in, they take a pile of cards. You speak their language. You're communicating with them every month. You're giving them a phone call. Hey, I came in there. Got anybody for me? How's it going there? How's your business going? I like to promote local businesses. I'd like to help. There's your multipliers. They're talking to 100 people instead of you having to talk to 100 people, and they're recommending you because you're recommending them. Types of products you specialize in. Who specializes? I've asked this question so many times, and the answer always blows me away. Who specializes in condos downtown? I own Asheville Condo Queen and Asheville Condo King. Any of you can buy it from me. No, but do you know how much condos cost in this town? You know how many times we've had, how many high-end luxury condos we have? There you go, I just gave somebody a specialty. How about townhomes? How about 5-bedroom homes or where to find them? How about anything as a specialty? How about land and farms? Do we have any big acreage in this area? You know the objection to this? Oh, I specialize in condos, people won't come to me for houses. They're not Googling, give me the agent that doesn't specialize in condos. They're not, I promise. Cultural. So the cultural one I love, and we just don't use it enough because we're all so politically correct now. I really said it like that, didn't I? I'm sorry. Sorry. So the cultural piece. Who speaks another language other than Spanish? Spanish is so easy. What do you speak? French and Italian. How come you speak Spanish, French, and Italian and English? Why not? Because you have a love of languages. Isn't that amazing? Are you single? Do we have any single people in the room that would like somebody who speaks 5 languages? Because that shows a really high intelligence. Are you good with music? Yeah. See, it's a connection right there. Not with me, sorry. Randy's sitting right behind. Randy, baby, I'm sorry. My honey's sitting right behind. He has to put up with me every day, can you imagine? So think about, okay, so you have a love for languages. What's your big, do you have a cultural heritage with any of those languages? Not necessarily. Okay. Was your family from Italy, or do you know your heritage? Dutch, okay. So you had to give me a really hard one, didn't you? Another time I'd be able to absolutely go for Dutch, I promise you. But does anybody have Greek in their heritage, or Italian in their heritage, or Italian's a good one right now? Greek, Italian, anything like that? So, okay, I'll give you the answer to seeing as... So we had Dutch, and very, very few times I've actually been stumped, but I will get to Dutch. I'm going to come back to you on that one. So... a Greek heritage, for example, there's so much Greek here, there's so many Greek restaurants, there's so many Greek groceries. Go in there, hey, it was my heritage. I'm working with all these buyers and sellers, and I'm finding because of my heritage, you know, my brown eyes, or my Native American that I have, or whatever it is that you have, that people, you know, are just attracted to me for that. And, you know, tell me about what it is that you have in your restaurant, or your grocery store, or your festival, or whatever it is that you're planning to do with the Greek History Festival, or whatever else is going on. And you'll know it because you have that cultural heritage. And go and talk to them, keep in conversation with them every single month. And give them a big pile of cards. Oh yeah, he's the guy who's got Dutch heritage. I mean, who ever heard of that? It's Northern European, and at least half the people in the room have it, so you're in good company. Interest. Who rides bikes? Who rides mountain bikes? Or does it, fantastic, Scott rides a mountain bike. Do you still ride your mountain bike? Oh, that's fantastic. So what do you do, Scott? What else do you do? What else do you do in the industry? I promise I'll stop in 1 minute.
What else I do?
What else do you do?
I also ride motorcycles.
Rides motorcycles. So where do I go to your blog that talks about the trails for mountain bikes or motorcycles?
It's on my website.
It's on your website? That's fantastic. Is it really? I was so proud of you just for a second there.
Although I do love pizza, and that is on my website.
Go for it. I love it. Don't be... Listen, authenticity means you share you. How many people do you think come to the mountains and want to ride motorbikes or mountain bikes? Is that uncommon? Do you think there's one blog post anywhere from any real estate agent for something that's so popular and so many people are coming to? Anywhere where I can find the 6 most popular trails on any realtor's website anywhere? Do you not think that's a little bizarre? How about fishing? I love fishing. Or mountain trails. You know what you do under each mountain trail? You do all the houses for sale within 3 minutes. And yes, all of you can do that with a link. If you don't have a website, or you know, like an MLS website, you can still do it with your own MLS. You can put a link to those homes that are within 15 minutes of the hiking trail, biking trail, whatever it is. Tail of the Dragon, whatever it is. Homes for sale. Just keep reminding them, homes for sale. If you were a mountain biker or a hiker or a fisherman or a fisherwoman or whatever, fisher they, how far away would you want to be able to live from the fisher places you go to catch your fish? Not very far. So unique value proposition isn't about having this remarkable, amazing thing. It's about sharing you. And many of you, I had 2 people once who were in their 50s. They'd left, they were music teachers at a school, and they were in tears by the time I'd finished in 10 minutes building out their strategy of how they could win in real estate. And we're still in touch today. Because it's not hard. Go to all the music shops. Anywhere that's anything you can think of that monetizes what you like to do. Just make that connection. It's very cool. Questions, thoughts, ahas? If we don't have any, we're going to use Sheila as our willing victim.
There you go. I like finding the no.
Say that again.
Finding the no.
Finding the no, yeah, getting to know. You know, it's so remarkable how in real estate, it's what I call a BGO, a blinding glimpse of the obvious. So getting to know was my first time on stage with Gary Keller, because they thought getting to know was so remarkable. All it is getting to yes, but it's getting to know by, if you have something that's unique and you say, for example, I like to give examples instead of talking in these big, you know, like whatevers. If you've got a withdrawn listing, you go, I'm so sorry your house didn't sell. That's kind of strange in this market. And do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Did you have an appraisal on your home? No. Oh. Okay. Did you have a walking tour video? What's that? Not a virtual tour where they string all the pictures together. Did you have a walking tour video? Somebody like me, and then you use what you would say. In this open plan living room. Imagine being here at the holidays with this fire snapping away, watching the chef. By the way, who's the chef in your house? Just ask questions, guys. They go, no. Oh dear. Right, you just ask. Did your agent use the love it or leave it guarantee for the buyers coming in? No. Oh my gosh, let me come out and see you. We can put this right. Right, that's getting to know. But you can't just say, I sold more houses than somebody else. Or you know, I talk funny, or whatever it is. I mean, really, it's not because I've got an accent, I promise you. Dutch could beat it every time. I mean, seriously, Spanish accent, you keep going. Like, I don't want to hear any of this nonsense. Okay, it might help sometimes. But it might help a little bit. What we got? We've got 5 minutes left for questions, ahas, or willing victims for me to find your unique value proposition. I'm going to... Oh, 5 minutes before I walk in? It's the same as withdrawn and expired on the phone. It's exactly the same thing. So have you heard of certified pre-owned, CPO? Here, listen, you can be my seller as I'm on the phone. Have you heard of a certified pre-owned car? Every dealership has them. 156-point inspection. It's a black book value. When I first got into real estate, I thought, what the heck are we doing? We're selling a $500,000 house and we're not inspecting it. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what you may not know is that about a third of the deals, and by the way, I've taught this around the country, about a third of the deals fall apart. Do you know why, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? No. The inspection, this script, by the way, is all in here. The inspection and the appraisal, by the way, this is coming back big time. CPOexperts.com, go and look it up. Your whole script's in the darn book. This is literally your script. So have you heard of CPO? No. Okay. Have you heard of a walking tour video? I do them on every single listing. That's where we walk around and we talk about your best features. And I know their home already. You've got a great backyard, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and a wonderful view. So I'm going to talk about that wonderful view and the fact that your patio faces west. So that you can imagine being on this beautiful patio, sipping a martini, or you don't drink, no worries, your cocoa. And yes, I really do say that in videos, why the sun's going down. So that video is very powerful. Oh, I can see how it would be. And I'll say most houses have videos, and I really don't know why. Love it or leave it guarantee. Did your last agent use the love it or leave it guarantee? That's where, well, why is that important to me as a seller? Because do you know that, and by the way, what are your 5 feeder states? And if you don't know them, find them out when you go back. And by the way, you're all local, so I can tell you they are New York. They are Texas. They are California. Where else? Florida. Where else? Georgia. Yeah, your 5 is enough. You know why? 95% of the sellers you are talking to either grew up there or knew somebody from there. So now they think you know what you're talking about. And you may or may not. It doesn't matter. Just learn your 5 states because they think that you do. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, love it or leave it guarantee allows that we bring in many, many buyers. And because we offer the love it or leave it guarantee, where we'll sell it for free, we're gonna bring more buyers from Texas to your home because we offer that guarantee. I don't know if your last agent did that or not. No. Oh dear, well we better put that right. I mean, I could keep going. We've got 12 programs. We've got a divorce program. It helps you get divorced. Not really. We've got an estate program. There's a process if anybody wants to get divorced. Just hang on a bit, and then if it's awful, just get it over with already and go on with your lives. It's way much better. Right? Everybody's divorced? You're all much happier now? Yeah, see? Works. Yeah, Martha's at the back going, yes! So you don't need programs to do it, and if you want to copy mine, go ahead. There's a book there that gives you all the scripts, all the outline, and how to do it. Particularly for CPO, it's a dream of mine. If you know, what's my eulogy? Oh my gosh, she brought CPO to Western North Carolina. That would be darn awesome. I would love it. I would love it. And you'll all find it way easier, not just to get listings, but to get buyers as well. These programs work for buyers as well. And by the way, I'll give you the most important tip of the day. Find out the name of their dog, find out the name of their kid, find out the name of their spouse. Guys, it's really that easy. How old are their kids? You got that little white box on your CRM, put the detail. Put the detail, it's important. Because you're going to be calling them back, and you're going to be calling them back, and you're going to be calling them back. I got you, Martha. You're going to be calling them back, and you're going to be calling them back. Get used to calling them back. Because if you're not, the other 5 agents are. Martha, you got it. We've got an amazing panel coming up, guys. That's all I got. I got it.
Are we not? Do. 1 to the 2, 2 to the orange.
Can you hear me? We're trying to turn up the heat in this place. From Batcave, yes, I've come a long way.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I know where that is. I'm over in Clyde, over Waynesville area.
I've heard that's a beautiful area.
It's lovely, yeah, and I work for a great firm.
Good.
Yeah. State, everything.
Yeah.
Got some great owners. Strong leaders.
Good. Good. How many people are in the company?
I think we have about 25. I know Tom has been doing a lot of recruiting, but we also have people, he's really good at training people, but they come, they get trained and they leave.
Where do they go?
Well, some content EXP,
the cocktail party.
So while we're waiting for Marty to sit down, I did get a question there of, well, what do you do when they do the inspection and there's all this stuff to be fixed? Isn't that really scary? Not scary at all, because guess what's going to happen when the inspection is done and the buyers do it? That's when it gets really scary. And what's different? They have to use licensed contractors. Jimmy down the street or Joanne down the street or whatever these days, gosh, can actually fix that thing, right, when you've done it up front or not. Everyone goes in eyes wide open. Isn't that the way to do real estate? Here's my house. I've priced it accordingly. Here's all the crap wrong with it. I'm too old, too feeble, can't be bothered to fix it. Or we don't, we've got a house where our carpets need changing out. Like, Randy, we need to change our carpets. Do I know what color carpets the next people are going to want, or they're going to want hardwood? Of course I don't. I'd rather give them a credit. And that makes sense. Everyone goes in eyes wide open. A lot less of your deals will fall apart, I promise. It's over 30% of deals fall apart. When you do CPO, you can use that as your advantage. Over 30% fall out. Our dropout rate on our sellers is less than 7% this year. Do you know what those dropouts were? 2 of them who didn't do the inspection. One of them lost $100,000 on a cash deal because the person walked. The other one has a very expensive house, and we're on the 3rd deal now. He didn't do the inspection either. So that's how you do it. So no, they don't have to pay for anything.
You do it any market, even the market we just came out of, you still always do the CPO?
All the way through. Everybody said it couldn't be done. We've been doing it since 2007. Oh, we don't do that. We dropped the appraisal because that's just silly. The appraisal will come back.
Yes.
Because you're going to see deal after deal. Who's had a deal recently where the house didn't appraise? Yeah, it's happening. It's okay. It's an opportunity, guys. The people who can't differentiate themselves will drop like flies. You'll lose so many agents. And those are the people who got in for a hobby, or they're not on great teams or aligning themselves with great people that can help them and mentor them through this. It's a freaking fantastic opportunity. I doubled the amount of business I did from scratch every single year for 4 years when I got in the business, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm really not that smart, and I talk funny, apparently. So, and I had no sphere of influence there. So if I can do it, you can do it. I promise. Okay, without further ado, we have an amazing... Gosh, you all look so handsome and beautiful up there. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. How about that? Is that all right? You got a microphone? Yeah, we'll just pass the microphone along. So if you can just say who you are and what's your favorite food? Yeah. She's Amy Wilson. She's my bestie. So she was the lady who came and took all the bags out of my bathroom. And the girls have been wearing the clothes ever since. We had a big get-together, and lots of girls in Black Mountain ran off with the clothes, and it's always amusing, 7 years later? In fact, I went to Amy's house the other night, and I said, that's a pretty... She'd taken a necklace off, and it was on the top. I said, that's a pretty necklace. She said, that's your necklace. Put it on. It looked great with that outfit.
It's a true story.
It's a true story. I went to meet Randy, and he said, that's a pretty necklace. I said, it used to be mine 7 years ago, and Amy just gave it me back.
True story. Well, I did have an aha moment while you were speaking a few minutes ago that I wanted to share with you all. I knew Rowena before I got into real estate. She actually encouraged me to get into real estate. And I worked for her as a buyer's agent when I first got my license. And as she was talking, all the things that she was saying, I'm like, wow, I do that. Oh, I do that. I'm like, oh, she taught me a lot. So I really appreciate that. Like, there's so many things. One of the things that I have always done that people kind of make fun of me sometimes, maybe because they're silly a little bit sometimes, or is a walking tour video. But when COVID first happened and nobody could go into houses and all my listings had walking tour videos, people would call me and be like, oh my gosh, your video, it's so awesome. And I could tell the whole house, and I knew. So I still do that. When the market got so crazy, maybe I didn't do as long of talking videos, but it's still, I think, really important. Anyway, my name is Amy Wilson. I have a firm here in Asheville called Homespun Investment Realty. I started it 3 years ago with 2 other business partners. And our unique value proposition is that we focus on investors. We're all investors. We flip homes. We sometimes we hold them and rent them out, short-term, long-term. But we're all investors, and most of our agents are also investors, and that's kind of our niche in this market. You know, we love to work with investors, but we also know that your home, even if you just have one home that you live in, is your biggest investment, biggest way to grow your wealth and biggest investment property that you're ever going to have. So,
What was your favorite food?
French fries.
French fries from where?
Any French fries.
Any French fries, okay. Any French fries. Any kind of potato, okay.
My name is Angela Peterson. I own the Ashworth Group. I opened it 8 years ago. Oh, no, sorry. I opened it 6 years ago. I've been in real estate for 8 years. I really wanted to focus more on relationships, and it seemed like every firm I went to really didn't want that aspect. They just were chasing the dollar, and that's not what I was chasing. I wanted quality work, and I wanted to have quality agents that worked for me that actually gave back and made people have value, and that was kind of my purpose. So we've been working now for 6 years. It's been great. We're crazy. We have 3 biological kids, 1 adopted child, and we have 2 fosters currently in our house. So we stay very busy a lot. Sometimes I feel like working with DSS is a full-time job, but the kids are always really great, so we're blessed to have them. And that's kind of, so I started really and truly, I work about 10 or 12 counties. Everybody says, oh my gosh, why do you do that? But as we know, the mountains are so various, and we have like such, you know, low elevations, and people coming from Florida think, you know, Rutherford County mountains are high, and you bring them to Asheville and they're scared to death. And then you have people coming down from the north and they think, oh, Rutherford County has not got mountains. So I just kind of learned the different areas to put people in different areas. But the past few years, my husband is a veteran, and my stepfather is a veteran as well, so I was kind of raised up a lot around veterans, and so our focus has really kind of went that direction, and I love we're helping veterans relocate to our area, find first-time homes, and kind of just that little niche in navigating the VA loan, because it's not always really super fun.
Please stand up in the room if you're a veteran, or married to one, or engaged to one. Thank you for your service, and we know somebody else on my team has a father who's a veteran. We all serve with them, right, when they were either in the service and active, or when they come home, because, you know, it leaves you as a different person outside the civilians, I guess. Is that what you call them, Randy, civilians? Us plebs who didn't serve, are we civilians? It's different. It's a different life afterwards, and so thank you very much.
I think my mic's on. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yes. Without this? Okay, well, you know me. I'm Marty. You know about me. But my favorite food is when I have the time to cook country vegetables. I'm really good at that.
Nice. I'm Amy, and my favorite food's Indian. We don't have a lot of it in our market, but it's awesome. And the last time I was with Marty, I drug her to an Ethiopian restaurant. It was great.
My name is Steve Wild. I'm not a real estate agent. I have a law firm, Wild Law Firm, and I'm one of your sponsors. And my value proposition is finding that niche that no one else is doing. And I've known Rowena for years, and because I've done short sales. And we do short sales throughout North Carolina, South Carolina. I can actually do a short sale in 50 states because the short sale aspect is the same. And that's where we met. I was doing all of her short sales back when no one else was selling real estate. But Rowena was selling real estate because she didn't get afraid of anything. She just said, oh, I'm going to partner with someone who knows how to do short sales. And we got them all through.
He taught me a lot. That's when I was crying every third day. I'd be like, Steve!
It's all right. We'll get it through. And the other niche, now that short sales have fallen off, what I'm seeing more and more, and Rowena is started this, is seller side documents. So right now, we do seller side documents. And because we're seeing a big a niche there where a lot of agents now want their seller to be represented, because if they go to the buyer's closing attorney, they're unrepresented. What happens if there's an issue? Well, they represent the other side, and now they're going to not only charge you, but they may get to it, they may not. I had a title issue the other day. It took me doing a 50-year title and figuring out why it didn't plot. It was a plat, it was an in-town lot. It took me half an hour. They were going to get a whole survey. It was a four-call in-town lot. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and one for the last 67 years. It said northeast instead of northwest. Duh. Let's just fix it. But they were gonna.
Must have been a girl did that.
No. But they were gonna get a survey. That would have been another month. My seller would have lost her lock on the house that she was buying, and we were like, no, we don't need a survey. So things like that. It's been finding that niche, and Rowena has actually been, you know, a leader in all of that, you know.
Well, you know, sometimes when you've no clue what you're doing, you can look at something and go, why is it done this way? And everybody goes, we've always done it that way. The buyer chooses, in North Carolina, the buyer chooses the attorney to close the deal, but that attorney is not representing the seller. When do things go wrong at a deal? It's the last 48 hours. What are you going to do? Find him another attorney? It doesn't cost anymore. It's a little more, you know, jiggery-pokery, shuffling, is that an American word? Shuffling papers across between people. Yeah. But I think it's well worth it. And Steve's been an amazing partner throughout it all. And, you know, if you want to learn short sales or foreclosures, this is your guy. This is your guy. We have a radio show with you on it, talking all about it. RealEstateNewsRadio.com. If you want to hear the show that he was on, I need you on again soon. We've been doing it for 11 years. We do a real estate show every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on 570. It's syndicated on Fox.
And can you imagine doing a radio show and filling an hour every single Saturday? It's not easy.
11
years,
watched her. 648 shows. It's so fun. There's so much to talk about. Amy came on last week, and Marti came on the week before. It was awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah, we had fun.
So what are we seeing in terms of, so we all know, does anybody agree that our prices are going down, or our prices are on the way to going down? Does anybody know the length of the cycle? And my team is not allowed to answer. Does anybody know the length of the economic cycle? The economic cycle from, so it's 11 to 7 years. Clement Juglar, 1860, set the economic cycle. So unless we're changing history, which we may be because we're known to do that sometimes, it's going to be 7 to 11 years before it comes back. That means the bottom is 3.5 to 5.5 years, right? So it's going to be 3.5 to 5.5 years before we hit the bottom, and then we'll come back up. That's normal, by the way. The line goes like this, so it's not like houses are worth $500,000 and then they go down to 300 and then they're worth 500. The lines like this, they always go up, but what goes up must come down. That's a physics law, and I don't know which one. Trivia question, you get a prize if you can answer that one. There you go, see? Who said that? Whoa. Everyone say 3, 2, 1. Whoa. That's amazing. So, yeah, the cycle is 7 to 11 years. So clearly, if that's the cycle, we're going down. If you look at most forecasts, we're going to go down between 10 and 32%. 32% is Austin, Texas, #1 depreciation they think is going to happen. It's primarily high-tech counties in the country. High-tech counties. So there's all kinds of criteria they look at, but the high-techs are really going to suffer this time around. So if we're going to lose value, oh, it's a terrible market, isn't it? Yeah, it must be really awful for buyers, right? 90% of us work with buyers, so it must be really bad, right? I mean, think about that for a minute. Prices are going down. There'll be more inventory. Amazing opportunities. Steve will tell you short sales and foreclosures. By the way, they never stop. There's just more right now, right? There's more of them right now.
Foreclosures were really drying up, and since about March of last year, they've just picked up. And if you're ever in the courthouse and see, it's substantially more than it was, the last couple of years. So every month it's more and more. We can get into why, but just know that it's happening, and they're delayed, they get continuances, but more and more are now hitting the courthouse steps or being purchased by investors.
How cool is that? So Amy, is that good news or bad news?
It's good news for investors. There's more deals out there where they weren't the last few years. And also, I'm telling my investor clients now that have hold properties, thank you, that have hold properties that, you know, if you're thinking about selling, this is a good time to sell, because as Rowena was saying, it's probably going to start to go down. Maybe we haven't felt it here, but prime opportunity now would be to sell now, or if you're buying something, to hold on to it, you know, until the cycles through.
Amy, in your market, did your agent say, so Amy's from Iowa, she's the #1 team in Iowa, that's an entire state, guys. Did people go, nothing's going to happen in Iowa, it's not going to go down, we're protected here because, you know, we didn't really have a bubble in the first place? Is that what people said?
No, they embraced the fact that everything was going to go down. And
right.
I'm the one that just said it's not going to.
Yeah.
So we've never, like ours, I mean, we'll have impact, right?
Yeah, but it'll be a little bit.
But it's a little bit. There's a little bit. But here's what we've got going on. I think it's unique for us, but maybe not, because around the country, we still have limited inventory. Mm-hmm. So it's still holding sellers' prices, not to the frenzy that it was, but it's still real solid, right?
Thank goodness, right?
Really, I'm grateful. But the new construction prices, we've hit a threshold.
Right.
I mean, we're $300 a square foot for a little bit better than average.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's, for our marketplace, and in many markets, you're hitting thresholds.
Marty, what did they say to you in 2007, 2008? The agents in the marketplace, I should have said to Amy when she was in real estate before, and she said, we're getting the hell out of here, I don't want you talking to any of those people, which is the funniest thing ever, right? But Marty, what did they say to you? What were you hearing in Raleigh the last time it shifted? Was it like, oh, it won't happen here because everyone's moving to Raleigh?
Yes, you hear that. And
Yeah.
people are, you know, they don't want, they're deniers.
Yeah.
I mean, we always want to hear what we want to hear
Yeah.
until we absolutely have to sell.
Yes.
Or until we absolutely have determined to buy. So the motivation is key.
But
You
so
go
that-
through more people to get it.
And those are the people that don't need to move. What about the people who get divorced? Are they just going to be stuck together in the same house?
They're
or
not going to live. They're going to cut the price. The
Yes.
executives that had to move during that time, they understood the cycle. They saw it happening in other areas, and they would go down below. So if we
Right.
had a comp that was, let's say, 400,000, they would go to 375.
Right. So why there's death and divorce, there's always hope, is what you're saying in the real estate market. It's life, it happens. This stuff happens, right? There will always be people that want to buy and always be people that want to sell. There's nothing changed there. So I can tell you what they said in Asheville. What did they say in Asheville, Amy? The last time around. Oh, no, we're perfectly fine. Everybody's coming to Asheville. Asheville's protected. Does anybody know the percentage that Asheville went down? It was almost 30%.
Wow.
Almost 30%, which was normal, by the way. That's across the country, apart from markets where you don't get that big bump. And the economic cycle, all that means is you've got a line, and it bumps either side of the line, right? Whereas ours goes like this across the line. And it's just about catching the wave wherever you want to catch the wave. But it's a great market for someone, always, right? It doesn't matter. So what are you seeing financially in terms of, I know you do a lot of VA loans, for example. What would you tell us about VA loans? Because a lot of people don't like to do them. We do Homes for Heroes, by the way. If you don't know what that program is, look it up. I'm sure there's still some space for some more agents doing that. We're at over, thank you for every one of my team in here, we're at over $800,000. It's really the thing that we've done that I'm most proud of. Back to veterans, teachers, healthcare professionals, police and firefighters. So it's an amazing program. And you do a lot of work with veterans. Thank you so much. It's amazing. And your husband is a veteran as well. What are you seeing in terms of VA loans? Because a lot of people get scared of them.
Yeah, VA loans kind of have a bad reputation that they're really not what people think they are. Actually, this year I've experienced more problems with my conventional and my FHA than I have my VAs. One of the things that everyone should know, if you're not dealing with veterans on a normal stance, they're very faithful. Like, whenever they say they're going to buy a house, most of the time they're going to buy a house. Like, they're not going to back out, and they don't get really scared. You know, the home inspections come back, we talk through it and stuff like that, but they don't waver much. Like, they kind of dig their feet in and they're ready to go. As far as the loan process, it kind of comes back to the appraiser and how nitpicky the appraiser might be or something like that. But all in all, they're not the type of loans that they used to be. I've heard a lot of nightmares. Us personally tried to get a VA loan several years ago, and it was a complete nightmare and disaster. They're definitely not that now. There's a couple more steps you have to jump over, but it's minor stuff like pest inspections or water testing and things like that. So they're not bad by any stance. And most of the time, I know another thing that people don't like is, well, it's 100% financing. Okay, well, yeah, but they went and died for their country, or, you know, fought for their country, so they kind of deserve that 100% financing.
Wait, so people have a problem with that?
I do. I hear that a lot from, like, when we put in offers, they're like, well, they're getting 100% financing. I wish North Carolina would actually take that part out of the contract so that, you know, that wasn't there. But I hear that a lot from the seller side. Well, I don't understand, and I don't know whether it's coming from the sellers or just an uneducated agent that is doing this. But, you know, it is 100% financing. A lot of the times they have the money to put down, though, but they just want to use their benefit, and it is their benefit. So,
well, doesn't that come back to, so who in the room specializes in working with veterans? 1, 2, Randy works at the VA, so he definitely does. In real estate, who specializes in working? We've got one person, specialize at 2 people. 2 people, look at the size of the room, right? So that means you speak veteran language. You don't even need a veteran in the family. You learn about VA loans. What else might that allow you to do you think, if you knew about VA loans and special needs for veterans in housing? Oh, you could target lists of veterans, do you think? You could start blogging about veterans. You could start making social media posts about veterans. You could start sharing your knowledge about specific things that are different that veterans need. Comes back to unique value proposition. Focus on something and go for it. And I promise you, people aren't Googling, give me the agent who doesn't specialize in veterans. It doesn't happen. It just means you can own that niche. There's 2 people in the room who specialize in them. And it's such an easy one.
As a seller, isn't it then, you know, a great opportunity for the agent to educate them on the fact that 100% financing? Sign me up. I mean, if I'm a seller, someone's got 100%. That's not a negative to me. I'm like, yeah, you know, they're not. That's just education from the agent to the seller. The seller should be like, yay. I agree.
Especially as we've had so many multiple offers. I guess we don't have to be so worried about that anymore, because multiple offers are really fun, aren't they? Said no agent ever. Really. Correct, thank you. I love that. Because there's a tendency to do that, especially if you're in the mindset of, well, we've always done it this way. You know, thinking about it a little differently. And you can always learn from, I mean, I watched Marti's slides today. I'm like, thank goodness I got a copy of those slides, because she's got the scripts in there. It's awesome. Oh my gosh. But learning opportunities are always out there. Always out there. And the most successful people always have learning slotted into their calendar. You ask absolutely anyone all the way to the top. I actually did a program, when I left the UK, I did a program with a corporate board with 300 CEOs, and my job was, best job ever, job was to talk to 300 CEOs, and he just said, the chairman said, find out what made them successful. You know what the number one thing was? Humility. Somebody else helped me get here. 300 CEOs. It's amazing. You can always learn from somebody else. It's amazing. Panel, what thoughts would you like to leave us with today to help agents in the room, who some of whom have been in the different recessions, some of whom have seen, Marti's seen at least 2.5 in her 7 years in real estate now that she's 29. You know, some of us have seen at least 2 of the recessions, and we know what that looks like. We know what recession looks like all round and how much it hurts people, and especially the people who've bought houses. So we've been out there. Imagine the agents that have only been in real estate for 2 years. We've all run around and we've sold them houses for 10% more than it was listed for. Or more, 20% more than it was listed for. So now they're in a house that they bought for $700,000 that we knew was only worth $600,000, and it's going down. Let's be really conservative and say we only experience a 10% drop. What are we at? 540. So they bought it for 700. It's now at 540. What's that called, Steve? When you go to sell it?
A bit of a short sale.
Bit of a short sale. You're underwater. What happens if they get divorced or one of them dies and they have to sell it? It is miserable. Short sales are generally, well, they're great for the buyer. They're miserable for the sellers. Get used to it. Have the right conversations. Don't be afraid to step in there and have the conversations, because you're going to be dealing with this. And it's great opportunities for buyers and investors. There is no bad market.
No, don't run away from short sales. I mean, we knew so many agents. I don't do short sales. Well, you're not supposed to in North Carolina anyway. Right. It's the practice of law. But don't run away from them. Find someone to do them. Like, we will do them with no upfront fee. So you just find a partner and, put that in your pipeline. I mean, you didn't have just short sales, but it was pretty nice when a short sale came through and another short sale came through on top of everything else. You just put it in the pipeline. We handle it.
And then you have lists of investors who want to buy the short sales. So I'm just going to share Amy's story. So last night we were talking about, number of properties that we own, because as real estate agents, often you own more than one property. And if you don't think about how you can do it, because it's not expensive, in fact, you can do it on somebody else's money generally. So just think about how you're going to get into that and how many you're going to buy a year. So Amy said, yeah, I've only got 20 now. Okay. It's all comparative. Some people have got 300, some people have got 600. Amy's only got 20. It's another thing to talk to her about if you're interested in investing in real estate. And guess what? She's got 20, but how many more will you buy when the short sales and foreclosures, do you think? And we start having a market where...
Well, we're going back into our instant offer. If you don't offer instant offer, it's a great, great program right now to offer. We went and got a line of credit. Can I talk about this quick?
Yeah.
Instant offer is a great thing, because we're going into a market that people they're nervous, right? Has it been a good program the last couple of years? No, we've hardly used it. And I wouldn't even recommend anybody to use it. But there's a convenience fee to it, so it's 15 or 20% discount, but there's surety to it. And it can close in any kind of time frame. And so it's a great program. If you don't have it right now, I'd go to your lender and or banker, or do something to get a program started like that.
We don't have it here, actually, so I don't want you to talk about that a little bit. So we're talking about people. Does anybody know listing sellers who really don't want people traipsing through their house? They'd rather not. Because Heather and I went to one the other day. There were 3 caged dogs outside. This is in the last week. I about vomited when I got out the car. She had to kind of carry me around to the front door that was eaten half alive by something, we're not really sure what. We went to the back door, and the whole place was awful. However, we found out, which is often the case in those circumstances, he'd lost his wife. He lost his wife 6 months ago, and after a long traumatic illness. So, it just all gone to hell in a handbasket, basically. So the last thing he wants is I wouldn't want them to either, to go and look at the house, So to have an instant offer on the table could be very good. Instant offers is basically where you offer to buy the house, usually 80%, something like that. 80, some do 70% of the value, right? That's where you do an instant offer, because often those people just want a cash offer. They don't want people traipsing through the house. Some people are just very private. I'm going to get home.
They want to be able to go on and buy another house. They don't want to have to think about it.
Right.
And here's the thing that we think. So often we think that people are just money driven. I always talk to people, you're either time or money. What's your motivation? Do you have a lack of time? Is that what the crucial thing is? Or is it a money thing? If it's money, it's not the right option.
And a lot of people have equity now.
Yeah, they have equity.
A lot of equity.
Yeah, so they've got good equity. But I think that if you could start a program like that in your marketplace, it's really good. And I'm looking forward to, obviously the last 2 years, we didn't even talk about it. Because I wouldn't have even done it. I would have told people, hey, you don't need to do that, right? But in this situation, for full transparency, we'll go in and tell them exactly what their house would sell for on the market today. Like, here's our range for your house today, and here's our offer now. So then we have them sign a document. So they see that we've told them, here's market value, and here's your basically cash buyout value. So that there's complete integrity there and complete transparency.
Well, hang on, talk about because we were talking about authenticity today and integrity. So people go, oh, you just kind of go and buy it cheap, you know, and get something for nothing, and you skeezy real estate agents, you know, down there with used cars salespeople and blah, blah, blah. However, for somebody that does not want people in their house for whatever reason, and there are a lot of those people out there, the amount of equity that they have in their home is paper equity, right?
Mhm.
They bought it for 150, it's now going for 600 or 500 or whatever it is. There is a big core of money there where to not go through the misery of selling a house. Randy, is it miserable listing your house even when you have a great agent friend? That would be me, by the way. I live with him. It is a miserable experience. Remember that when you put your sellers on the market. It is not fun. We've got dogs. He has to put the dogs in the truck every single time. We have to clean up. We've got dogs. Dogs mean, you'll know what that means, dirty, you know, and then, you know, we're untidy, so we have to pick up our clothes for once and like vacuum the floors, and then Heather comes over and helps, and it's not fun at all. Nobody wants to go through selling the house, trust me. It's not fun, and we try and make it fun for people. However, if you've got dogs and kids and you're going out to, you know, get them from school, or I've got one seller who doesn't want to have a lockbox on the door, it is very hard. So think about the instant offer or the cash offer. It's very important.
Mhm.
Last thoughts, and then we've got to wrap up because we're going to be shot. Or something.
I've got 3 last thoughts for you. First one is the rubber band effect. You know, we are in a shifting market, but there's a benefit to those. You're going to have a lot of your friends, a lot of people you know in real estate drop out. I promise you, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. It is, if you make it through this downturn. You ever heard the song, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere? If you can make it in this downturn, you're going to be big in real estate because you can take ground at this time when your friends are talking about their woes and whatever. That's the first thought. The second thing is a Marvinism. Actually, I'm going to leave you with that. I said, Marvin, what am I going to tell these agents in Asheville? He said, tell them they need to go around, get around people and places that are doing more than they are doing, as far as learn from those places, people who are in more competitive environments, learn from those places. I applaud you for being here today, because a lot of people could have been here and they chose not to, and you're hearing from some awesome people today. So those are my 2.
So do we have time to do quick questions for the panel?
Wait a minute, she was going to give her closing thoughts.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you'd like to. Yeah, Amy's like, I'm good.
I loved what the other Amy said earlier about how, you know, even when the market is down, people are still buying houses, right? I mean, people are still getting divorced, people are still dying. Like, so why wouldn't they buy them from us or with us or let us help them?
Or
sell
having
their
babies
home?
or getting married.
Right.
Yeah.
Life is still going on, so.
They're tired of living in the basement with their parents. Yeah. Did you want to?
I think another thing, we've worked so hard for the past 2 or 3 years. Like, I mean, we've really busted our behinds. And in that, I think we've kept the personal touch, but at the same time, I'm almost ready for a little bit of a slowdown so that we can go back and I can visit with my people and actually go check on them and see how things are going. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I want to go visit my people.
I love it.
One final thought on, you guys become so much more important in a down market. In an up market, it gets to the point where you're just taking names, just taking you know, inventory and putting people together. But in a down market, you're important. And you know, having done thousands of short sales, it's the agent that drives it. It's the agent that had the vision and went to them and said, this is what we can do. So you really, you know, now become more and more important to the deal.
Well, what's that thing what's that courage piece that you talked about earlier?
That
The
30
crazy-
seconds?
Yeah.
That
what's
30
that?
seconds of like radical courage?
Radical courage. So have the radical courage when you have a seller that's underwater, when you get on the phone with them and they think that the house might be worth less than they owe. Have that radical courage to say, you know what, I think we can help you with that, and then call Steve.
You'll work in Iowa?
Oh, yeah.
I'll be calling you. Yeah, I gotta get a car.
Yeah,
Short
see?
sale is the same thing in
See?
Iowa
Yeah.
that it is here. And I don't, and
We're
I
gonna
don't, I'm
do
not a closing
questions if
attorney
that's
on
all
either
right. Okay.
side, no matter what.
Unless it's burning. Is it burning?
I don't know.
Okay.
You're the MC.
Okay, so we've got some questions. We've got the panel in the hot seat now. I'm coming down. I haven't worn these shoes in a while, so it's taking me a bit long, but longer than usual. Here you go.
I didn't catch the name of the program that specialized for VA loan. I didn't catch the
Hero?
loan for Hero.
Oh, Homes for Heroes, yeah.
Homes for Heroes.
Homesforheroes.com. It's all over the country. There's about 4,000 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's always worth a look-see. You do, so you give 25% of your commission back to the client. You give 5% to Homes for Heroes. Ruth Johnson's actually in the book. She's the CEO of Homes for Heroes. I came up with this program myself when I first got into real estate, and it's a funny stance, isn't it? And then I discovered that this program is out there already, so I went with that one instead. Who's the next question? You're going to hand it out, thank you. Who else we got? Who's got a question for the panel?
It's probably a question a lot of people think. So if you were an agent who was struggling today, what is the one thing you would tell them to start doing tomorrow?
Great question. Really great question. I think that's one by one.
Hey, I would tell you to start blowing up your social media. It's free, and I tell people, like, if you don't have an appointment to walk through a house, go walk through a house, put it on social media. Hey, just out showing great houses today. Active day showing houses, whatever. I don't care if you're showing to your mom, right? Or your sister. Like, don't inconvenience a seller but there's plenty of vacant properties out there. Go run through it, because perception is reality. So I would say hit the social media hard. I have an agent on my team that has done such a great job with it. And those lead sources don't cost you anything. They're coming directly to you. And I think that people love to follow that stuff. So to me, that's what I would do.
And this is for agents who've been in the business a long time, and those of you who just started a week ago too. This is all the same. It's all the same.
We're all in the same boat.
It changes. Real estate changes all the time. All the time. People are just as interested in hearing from you as a rookie or anything else. Any more questions for our panel? Yes.
I'm a broker in Gastonia, North Carolina, and I think I'm making a big mistake that I need to correct, which is buying leads through the company to give to the agents and spending thousands of dollars a month.
I think you have to evaluate, like, do you track how many of them actually turn into and convert?
It's really hard to track, really. I mean, I just get the feedback from the agents there, and it's more bad than good, as we know.
Let me ask you a question on that, if I may. Do they say, well, I called them and they haven't called me back? You ever heard that? Or do you have a protocol around how many times they have to be called in the first day?
They need to be called immediately, and they need to be called, 3 or 4 times.
Okay, and then you've got drip programs on them and houses that are going out to them. The best thing I ever learned as an agent that was just getting in, however few leads that you've got, is go onto the MLS. If you don't have an MLS website, do it on the MLS, set up those property drips. It sounds so basic. We must have 40,000 of them at this point. I had 1,700 in my first year because I didn't know what I was doing. I actually broke this MLS. That's a true story. This MLS broke because I had so many set up in such a short period of time. But those drips will go out and some of those people will come back to you. So if you're just starting out, go knock on doors. That's what Amy said. Get back to basics. It still works.
Guys, the average reach out, it used to be 8 to 12 reach outs would be they'd consider you like their agent. It's taken up to 32 times, 32 contacts.
Yeah, it's 19 times to call before you get an answer, by the way. So don't give up, just keep going. You just keep going. In fact, the way to look at it is like getting to know instead of getting to yes. Know that you've got to call 19 times before you get hold of them, and sometimes you'll get hold of them on the third go and you'll go, whoa, I did it. Right, just know you've got to call 19 times and strike them off. Okay, this is time 18. Because guess what? The other 5 agents won't. Because they don't know to or they give up.
Like sending video messages to people.
Yeah.
Differentiate yourself from that. Just, I mean, they get to see your personality. They're probably not as likely to cancel on you because they realize you're a real human being instead of a text. So I think the power of just sending a short video to somebody multiple times, right? They're just constantly, I think you get, our agents, we had them sending out videos instead of texting and calling and stuff. And everyone gets nervous to do it. They don't like how they look, whatever it is. Who cares? Just do it. But their responses were so quick and so much better, right?
Absolutely.
I got to tell you this. I got an agent that sends me texts once in a while, and she's got some kind of filter on this thing that makes her look like 20 years younger. And so I didn't know who she was forever.
That would be all of us.
Yeah, here's the thing. I wouldn't filter yourself too much because they still, when they go to meet you, they have to recognize you, right?
It was amazing. So who is this beautiful woman?
Yeah, to the one that's buying the leads. You said you think you're making a big mistake of doing that for your company, but okay, because you're not getting results in it. But I don't think the buying the leads for your company is the mistake. I think you not being able to put training in place for them to be able to take those calls efficiently and to teach them how to nurture them is your mistake, because it's the leads are going to bring your business. But yeah.
Yeah, so the protocols behind it. And
you know,
here's another, so you got to reach higher, right? We're going into this diving market. Here's such an easy one, guys. Sort all your leads, spreadsheet, whatever you got them on. Look at the area codes. Find the area code you know, like 704, and then call 704 and go, oh my gosh, you're from Charlotte? I used to do blah, blah, blah in Charlotte. You'll be the agent of choice. If they're from Chicago, you go, I used to teach in Chicago. It's absolutely poppycock. It's ridiculous, but it works. Number one thing, geography. You could have a great-grandfather that came over in the boat that landed in New York. That's all that matters. Oh, you're from New York? My great-grandfather came over on the boat. He's from New York, too. You are literally their agent of choice. You all know what I'm talking about here, right? You went to the same school. It doesn't have to be that close. You can do it six histories removed.
Row, to speak to this gentleman here who's a team leader, a company owner, which a lot of us are in that position, you got to teach your teammates, or you got to find teammates that'll be a partner with you. You know, I have a good friend that says this thing. She says the mother bird gets the worms and brings them back to the nest, but she doesn't grab their mouth and do the chewing for them. You know, so they got to do their part. You know, it's a participation. It's a partnership. Oh, come on. So that's really what it is. That's really what it is. And I think the partnerships and the teams are going to make it through, because make no mistake, people are coming to teams and people are going forward in teams, and teams are a bigger force now than they've ever been, and they're going to be a bigger force because of big tech and big money that's in our industry.
Yeah, it's funny, a lot of people come to us now say, well, we wanted to be in a small brokerage that has national exposure rather than a big brokerage where, 600 people in one office. Well, we felt we got lost. We wanted that kind of almost family atmosphere. Right. That sort of creeps me out a little bit, but like family atmosphere.
And we are.
Well, just because it's, we're a family, it's a bit cultish, They are my work family, no doubt. Heather's our work mom, I don't know, could be a little culty, I don't know. We're not, I promise.
It's done.
Yeah, we've got to, thank you listen, you guys have lots of other things to do. You're busy agents. Many of you in the room are very, very successful. So we are so appreciative of you hanging out with us and taking the time and all the participation. You guys were great. Often people just sit there and kind of nod off and do things in the background. And you've all been extremely not only attentive, and you have participated at a very high level. And most of all, thank you for everybody here, I mean, oh my gosh, Amy flew in from Iowa. It is a bit warmer here, though. But Amy flew in from Iowa. Marty came all the way from Raleigh, which is no mean trip. And, you know, she has a lot going on at home right now that she needs to attend to, but she chose to be here today with you all. So, and all of our panelists, thank you so much. Steve as well for being our sponsor today. Thank you so much. And there are some things that I have to tell you about. So there is an FFM's, it's a Zoom, it's a really important Zoom that'll be very cool, and we've got a password leverage on it, but they'll tell you about that at the desk on the way out if you're interested. It's an amazing mastermind that's on Zoom. Also, we're thinking about doing this every 4 months and flying people in, if any of you are remotely interested. So out of 10, how would you score? I'll ask for a show of hands, so I'll do a 10, a 5, and a 2, and I want you to be brutally honest. So those of you who found the content today a 10 and feel like you'd come back to another one, put your hands up.
Oh, yay.
Whoa.
All right.
Who just got a lump in their throat? Yeah, really. Who found it a 2? And I'll ask why, because I want you to be brutally honest. How about a 5? It was just okay, you've seen better before. Yeah, okay, no, that's fair. What would make it better next time? Is it because the Dutch and the English are always in these fights at soccer matches? I knew it. So more interactive. I love that. And, you know, we all thought about that. And we all have exercises that we do. And that's great feedback. Because we only had half an hour each, it's kind of hard to do exercises. So I think a little more time. We also chose to do 4 hours instead of an entire day. So that's really good feedback. Any more feedback like that you'd like to see?
I would love to have those copies of those slides.
You can get those too. So just ask us on the way out. Make sure you're registered on there. Absolutely. I think. Sorry, I'm giving away your...
Hey, can I just put a plug in again for that mastermind? So last week I was on it. We're inviting you to the Fast Forward Movement Mastermind. It's every Monday at noon. But last week when I was on it, we had 733 agents.
It's noon her time.
Noon my
Our
time.
time, it's 1 o'clock.
Okay, 1 o'clock. Sorry, guys. I'm from Iowa. It's at 1 o'clock. But, guys, last week, 733 agents talking about what they're doing to navigate successfully in this market. And I was taking notes like a wild thing. And I'm 30 years in the business. And I was like, oh, thank God. It's a great resource. If you'd like to hop on and join, we have passwords available for that. So just wanted to let you know
There's no
that.
recruiting going on or any of that nonsense. Not about that at all. So Fast Forward's actually led by a guy called Daniel Beers and Kyle Whistle. Daniel was in Gary Keller's group with me. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. Young guy in San Diego, California. He met Kyle Whistle, who is like just crazy. He used to have his own independent company. He is amazing in video, and he'll tell you everything you need to know. But it's also the group of people they're surrounding themselves with, including these two ladies, right? So, and it's a whole group of people that you can ask questions to. It's extremely interactive, and they're killer guys. They're worth listening to, and it's all free. So you might want to think about that. We do have. And now to the real business. Who would like to win 2 drinks tickets to join us for cocktails and hors d'oeuvres? No one? Nobody? Wait, am I talking to a room of realtors who don't want free drinks and hors d'oeuvres? Here's the good news, you get them free anyway, so everybody can... Oh, you just didn't want to have to do anything to get the free tickets. Now I get it. So you can get your 2 tickets on the way out for the free drinks and goodies. I will be joining you because I'm ready for a drink and I'm about the rest of you. And did I miss anything? Give these amazing guys a huge round of applause.
These guys. Oh, this has been getting out of this thing. Thank you, sir.